It's time for Fight Night Picks with your host, Craig Allen.
And joining us today, we have Matt Allen.
I'm back.
He's back.
I almost died last week, but I'm feeling good now.
Matt, good to see you. We've had a lot of caffeine. We're really ready for UFC 235, waiting for it to start. The prelims are on Fight Pass if you're following along here in Canada. We've got a great card for you. We're also going to go over some recent fight announcements. We're going to go over some recent retirements, as sad as they are.
Yeah.
And we've got one hell of a banger of cards. So thanks for joining us again on YouTube and on Sports Booth. Consider giving us a follow, liking the video. Let's get into it. Today's episode is brought to you by Spretzbox. Head on over to the website, spretzbox.com. All you have to do, click to get started. You can either order one of their boxes that has over $100 in value, or maybe you're interested in a single item, like these great socks. So click on them, add them to your cart, head on over to the checkout, and then all you have to do is enter in the promo code FNP as follows here. You'll save 10% off your first box or your complete first order. That's spretzbox.com. Okay, so if you're new to the Fight Companion game, my name is Craig Allen. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Craig Allen FNP. And tonight we've got a great card. I kind of made our screen a little bit bigger. You've got the card next to us. I've got the odds. We can pull them up here so you can have a look at that. And again, thanks so much for joining us. We're a little bit off on YouTube if you're paying attention. We're as quick as we can be, but there's about a 10 to 15 second delay. Matt's getting a little bit warm.
No,
so
I'm good. I thought I was, then I wasn't. I couldn't make up my mind.
But you can find Matt on Twitter at Matt Allen FNP. We're getting ready for the prelims. It says early prelims begin soon. Please stand by on Fight Pass. Hell of a card. Really getting ready for something special. So, in true Fight Companion fashion, we pop up the timer when the fight begins so you can see it down there below. You can also find us, like I said, on Sports Booth. Again, Unemployed Mario Yamasaki joining us. What a name. He was with us last week for UFC Prague. We had a hell of a card there. We've got a hell of a card tonight. Millie's joining us in the chat on Sports Booth. So yeah, I mean, a hell of a card. We made our picks on Thursday's episode of Fight Night Picks. And I can head back over. You can see us. You can find us on Twitter there below. The new look logo, the new merch. You can, yeah, there we go. Really looking forward to a great week. And if you're following along on Sports Booth, you can picture that on the top, but there's also a chat on the side, so you can join along as now.
It's about to begin.
Yeah, we're just about to get ready for UFC 235. So let's make a run, Matt, one more time. As Marty says, just got the notification. What's going on? Marty from Nebraska's got a big fight coming up tonight.
And I think he's going to win it.
So, Matt, we just ran through on Periscope. We made our picks for this card. Like I said, we went through it in quite a bit of detail on Thursday night. So if you missed this on Periscope, we'll go one more time from bottom to top, make our picks pretty quick, and we'll get into the analysis once the fights come available. So, Hannah Ciphers taking on Polyana Viana. That's our first fight of the night. Ciphers coming off a loss to Macy Barber. Polyana Viana beating up a guy who tried to take her cell phone. I'm taking Viana in this fight. She's a favorite. And Ciphers, she does have fast hands. She's got heavy hands. But I'm taking Viana in this fight.
Viana's going to have to try to take the fight to the ground, I think, if she wants to win. But I think she should be able to at some point, and she'll get the win via stoppage.
So we're taking Viana, both of us, in that fight. Our next fight, Macy Chasson, coming off the Ultimate Fighter Season 28 win, taking on Gina Mazzani, who's 5-2. Those two losses coming in the UFC. She's 1-2 so far in her UFC career. Who are you taking in this one?
I'm taking Macy. I think what she showed in the Ultimate Fighter, she's a really good striker. I don't think the wrestling of Gina Mazzani is going to be enough to kind of win her that fight. So yeah, I'll take Macy by stoppage, actually. I think she's going to get TKO with a knee to the body.
I'm taking Macy Chasson in that fight as well. Your next one, Charles Byrd, Edmund Shabazian. We talked about it at length the other night. If you look at Edmund Shabazian, 8-0. He's the Ronda Rousey protege. You're going to hear head movement a lot from his corner. You're going to have Edmund Tarverde in there tonight, more than likely. And he's taking on Charles Byrd, who either finishes or gets finished. He's a really tough competitor. Both of these guys fought Darren Stewart in the past. You know, it's a tough one to pick. It's a flip of a coin for me. I'm going to take Charles Byrd in this one. I've been going back and forth in my mind, but Edmund's cardio, not very good. It was on display in that Darren Stewart fight, so I'm taking Charles Byrd. I think he might be able to get it by stoppage.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Byrd should be able to get the stoppage. Probably, I'll say first or second. I doubt this fight goes very long.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there. Next fight, Diego Sanchez, Mickey Gall. A lot of people are kind of saying, hey, why aren't people giving Diego Sanchez the kind of credit and recognition he deserves?
Because he's 95 years old?
In fight years, yeah, 100%. I'm taking Mickey Gall in this one. I think he's going to go 6-1, which would make him, 5-1 in the UFC. I think he's going to be able to get the win in this one.
I think he will too. I just think we kind of saw, and we were talking about this fight earlier today. I don't really remember why, but Jim Miller versus Charles Oliveira. Jim Miller may have been the better grappler at one point, but just youth is extremely on Mickey Gall's side. He hasn't taken any damage his whole career, really. And and on the feet, Diego just can't take a shot all that well anymore, so I think Gall's going to get the stoppage win.
Diego Sanchez, yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to get it done. But in the next one, Alejandro Perez taking on Cody Stamann. Cody Stamann hasn't looked great in his last two. Before that, didn't look all that great. Matt only has one thing to say about Alejandro Perez. It's, what do I do with my hands? I'm taking
the funniest thing.
I'm taking Cody Stamann in this one. I think he's going to go wrestle heavy back to his roots, and I think he's going to be able to get a decision win in this one.
I think he could be able to, but if you look at Cody Stamann's two biggest wins, it's two split decisions over Brian Caraway, who's not that good anymore, and then Tom Duquesnoy, and then his last fight, Aljamain Sterling, who is a phenomenal fighter, just completely outclassed him. So I just think that I think Perez is going to get the fight. I even thought Perez lost his last fight against Eddie Wineland, but I do think he'll be able to get the win.
All right, next one. Misha Cirkunov coming off a big win over Patrick Cummins. Matt's called me out all week and said that's not a big win, Craig, but really it is to come back and get a win over a guy like that. They're showing the Twitter picture of Pollyanna Viana and the guy who tried to steal the cell phone.
She lit that boy up.
He looks, what did he say, 3 sheets to the wind? He does not look good.
No, he's lucky, though, that she wasn't with her boyfriend at the time, because Thiago Santos would have killed him.
So if we go back to the fights, Misha Cirkunov, Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker says that he had something to say about ranked opponents.
Oh, he said if they gave him another unranked guy, knocked him out in 15 seconds again. Which is kind of a gangster
People got really upset about that on Reddit. I reposted that article there, and people got fired up. But people always get fired up on Reddit. Cirkunov, Walker. I think Walker is going to be able to get the win. Cirkunov's a big step up in competition compared to Justin Ledet, because Cirkunov, a really well-rounded guy, and his ground game's really good. His wrestling's great. So it's going to be a tough one for Johnny Walker, but I'm taking Walker in this one.
This fight's going to be really one-sided for whoever wins it. I don't think it's going to be a close fight. It's either a knockout for Walker or a submission or ground and pound TKO for Cirkunov, but I'm going to pick Cirkunov.
All right, we'll run through our picks because Hannah Ciphers making her walk to the cage right now. You've got the feature prelim, Jeremy Stephens to beat Magomedsharipov. I'm taking Stephens. He's going to be able to get it done in the later rounds, whether it's round 2 or round 3. His output always goes up. And Zabit Magomedsharipov has a bit of a cardio issue from what we've seen.
Yeah, I agree. I think Steven's going to get the knockout. I think he's going to invest in light kicks early and then get the knockout later on.
Cody Garbrandt, Pedro Munoz. I see it the way of Munoz. I've been steady with my pick. Listen, if you find a hill to die on, you're going to die on that hill. I think Pedro Munoz does a lot of different things that Cody
Fun
Garbrandt
guy to watch, too.
Doesn't do well. Yeah, exactly. Fun guy to watch. His grappling's great. Garbrandt has good defensive wrestling, and his hands are lightning quick, some of the fastest hands, and a ton of power. But I've got Munoz in this one.
I think it's going to be a stoppage for whoever wins. I can see Pedro Munoz winning, but I find it really hard to go against the speed and the power of Garbrandt, especially because that's the one thing, speed-wise at least, Pedro Munoz struggles with. So I do think Garbrandt's going to get it first share TKO.
A fun fight at 115
really
that a lot of people, I'm sure, have ragged on online, but Tisha Torres taking on Weili Zhang. I've got Zhang in this fight. Her output's super high, and Tisha Torres has great output and great wrestling, but I think Zhang's going to be able to keep that win streak going and get her 19th in a row.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, Tisha Torres has only lost, though, to the best of the best. She's lost to Rose Namajunas, Tisha Torres, or not...
She's lost to herself.
Namajunas, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and Jessica Andrade. She were the 3 best strawweights pretty much of all time. I think she's going to get the win by decision. Tisha Torres isn't really a finisher, but she doesn't get finished herself. So, yeah, I think she'll win by decision.
Robbie Lawler, Ben Askren. I've been tossing this one around in my head all week. I mean, Ben Askren's wrestling second to none. Decent grappler, too. He can get submission finishes as well. But Robbie Lawler is a guy, we saw him in his last fight so long ago back in UFC Winnipeg, losing against RDA, who lately RDA hasn't looked all that good.
So, in that fight, though, RDA looked like a world beater.
In my mind's eye, yeah, exactly. I think Robbie Lawler, you got to discount him a bit, but I think the time off is going to help him in this one. And I think he's going to be able to get a win over Ben Askren.
And speaking of time off, Ben Askren hasn't really fought a high-level welterweight in 5 or 6 years. It was Andre Koreshkov was in 2013, I want to say, and Douglas Lima was even before that. It might even been 2012. Like, it's been a while since Ben Askren's really fought a high-level fighter. That belongs in his weight class. I know he fought Shinya Aoki, but Aoki's fought as low as featherweight. And to quote Jimmy Smith, Robbie Lawler hits like you stole something from him. I think Robbie Lawler's going to knock out Ben Askren.
Tyron Woodley taking on Kamaru Usman. Usman's on a huge win streak. Tyron Woodley, he had the no contest with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson,
Well,
but he's
draw.
Yeah, he had the draw, sorry. Both guys have looked great of late. I'm taking Woodley to keep his belt.
I'm taking Usman. I just think the output's going to be too much for Woodley. That's kind of the one area that we see Woodley struggle with is cardio, and he's not really a volume guy. He invests in that one big shot. So I think if Usman can make it a wrestling match, just wear on Tyron Woodley, you might not get him down. And then later on in the fight, it's really going to pay dividends, and Usman's just really going to open up with the striking and might even get a takedown.
And we saw that in the RDA fight with Usman. He just kept going takedown, 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 or at least getting into the clinch. And you see that his cardio is so good, he doesn't really get tired. And then his output on the feet is so great.
Exactly. At the start of the fight, Tyron Woodley might be here and Usman might be here. But kind of as the fight goes on, it's going to even out, and Usman doesn't get nearly as tired as Woodley does.
And we get to see the particulars of Viana and Ciphers. Viana has a 4-inch height advantage and also 5 inches of reach. And in the main event, I'm picking John Jones.
I'm cheering for Anthony Smith, but I don't think he's going to win.
Yeah, we both got Jones in this one. In this fight with Ciphers and Viana, like I said, I'm going the way of Viana. Matt's going with Ciphers.
I said Viana.
With Viana. If you're new to Fight Night Picks, like I said, we'll bring up the timer. You'll see it below. You'll be in real time with us. If you're following along on sportsboot.tv, there's a link down below in the description if you're following along on YouTube. And again, thanks for joining us. Now, Millie says, is this a must-win for Cody No Love? Not necessarily.
Yes and no. If he gets knocked out, I think it's a really bad sign because your chin doesn't get better as you get older. That's kind of the thing that we're seeing with Aaron Pico is he's got all the skills in the world, but if you can't take a shot, it kind of renders everything mute. And Cody Garbrandt is sort of the same thing. Unless he's going to adopt a completely different style, like almost like a Khabib style where you just go for takedowns, you avoid kind of stand up at all times so you don't have to worry about getting hit. Yeah, I think if Cody gets knocked out, you look at Bantamweight right now, Bantamweight's phenomenal. Everyone can knock everyone out. There's a lot of stoppages in that division. And if he loses, you're going to be behind guys like John Lineker at that point. Marlon's a terrible matchup for you. It's a big mountain to climb back up if he does lose this fight. Good news is, though, this is a fairly good matchup for Cody Garbrandt. I think we can both agree on that. Munoz needs to he needs to beat Garbrandt with his strengths to have a lot of success in this fight. But I do agree that if he gets stopped again, it's not it for him. He's still young and really talented, but he's going to have some questions to answer.
All right, so we get started with round number 1 between Ciphers and Viana. Again, Ciphers a striker. Viana a lot more well-rounded. Is the Brazilian. Ciphers opens up in the orthodox stance. You also have Viana as well with the right hand cocked.
Ciphers is jacked.
Ciphers is Jack City. She's definitely in really, really good shape. And Macy Barber was a really tough opponent for her UFC debut. That's kind of like feeding you both to the wolves to start off Ciphers' UFC career.
As Marty Usman says, I hope Askren wins. I really like Askren outside of the cage. And everyone, as people, we watch, we're MMA hardcore fans, and if you're watching this, you are too. When he gets in the cage, that's the least exciting thing about Ben Askren. He's not the most exciting guy to watch. And I just really like Robbie Lawler. That plays a part into my pick as well.
And it's funny if you watch, all the videos and all that stuff, especially Askren with Chael Sonnen, and they could be brothers.
They really could.
They kind of sound similar. They've got similar takes on a lot of different things. I think Ben Askren's a lot of fun as Cypher, she's doing a great thing where she's starting to lead in. That's what she's going to need to do is get close. You've seen the height and the distance, the advantage going the way of Viana. As like I said, I kind of made the screen a little bit bigger so we have less open space on the live stream. And Matt's knees are right up against my knees, and I'm trying not to go off screen with this. It's the way to go. It's tough.
Thiago Santos did mention, though, that he's going to be at 235 right now to kind of... If he is there, do you think that they're going to show him in the crowd a bunch to try to play off the fact that he's probably
100%.
Yeah.
You got to play off his win. He was able to get that finish over Jan Blachowicz, and I thought the finish was a little suspect with old Herb Dean. Just hammer, fisting it right out.
Damn it. It's not like he was in full mount just lighting him up.
That's a guy with heavy hands.
I know, but still, I think it was more just like, stop this fight. I don't think that they were really big damaging shots. But it wasn't outrageously late. I don't think you could say that.
We're under 2 minutes in. Ciphers, again, trying to push the pace here. Viana just keeping it out. And I think she can do that. Maybe try and wear out Ciphers or at least try and gauge what she's going to go for. We've seen a heavy right hand. Not that she's flat-footed, but Ciphers has had good movement, but that upper body is so strong. You see her just kind of keeping it, and her head's a little bit on a line thus far. But again, the movement on the feet kind of negates that a little bit.
Yeah, it does, but I mean, Viana might be my new Claudia Gadelha, who's like...
Pulls guard here.
She should win every fight, but...
Yeah, really interesting that Viana pulls guard. Looking for a knee right now.
What are you guys watching on in Canada? So for us, it's kind of weird because in Canada, you don't need ESPN Plus, really. You still use Fight Pass to go through most, like the early prelims, if you will. So yeah, we're watching these on Fight Pass right now, and then it goes over to TSN, and then it goes back to pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's exactly what it does. I'll pull it up here on the app just to fact check, but I know you're correct with that.
And TSN is just Canadian ESPN, that's all it is.
Yeah, exactly. We had a bit of a stand-up there. Referee Mark Smith stands the 2 up. Again, Viana, not really surprised that she pulled guard there.
I mean, she's not like like the last time I saw someone pull guard on a heel hook, that was Jacques Ray against Kelvin Gastelum. Like, you need to be such high level of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to get away with stuff like that. And I don't think Viana really has that level of skill on the ground.
And a reminder, so if you are watching in Canada, maybe you're a French language fan of the show, you can find the regular prelims on ALDS. You can find it on the French version of TSN, which would be the French version of ESPN up in Canada, based out of Quebec.
Viana looks very flat-footed.
Yeah, Viana does look pretty flat-footed, but again,
just got dropped with
Ciphers
right
drops her with a nice right hand. But yeah, I mean, smart idea by Ciphers. She doesn't want to just jump into the guard of Viana.
I would keep this fight standing as long as I can.
And that wasn't like a Damian Maia trying to pull guard. She dropped her for sure there. So a great job by Ciphers early.
Don't you ever disrespect the name of Damian Maia on this podcast.
I mean, a nice knockdown there for the American fighter. Smith stands him up again.
When he choked out Lyman Good with his eyes closed, I knew. That's something else.
Closing in on about 30 seconds remaining in this round, Matt. Early prediction, unless we get a finish here.
Ciphers, round 1.
Ciphers, round 1. I'm going to go Ciphers, round 1, too.
She got the knockdown. Viana's one of these people that she just doesn't seem to have a lot of power behind any of her shots, and it's always hard to pick someone who you don't think can get the finish. You know what I mean? Like, she can, but is going to have to come to the ground, but she's not really a wrestler, so she doesn't have the bridge to kind of put together both of her skills. So, yeah, I think Ciphers, again, if she can keep this fight on the feet, we both said this. We both picked Viana, but agreed that if Ciphers just keep this fight on the feet, she should be able to win.
Exactly, and a lot of people over on Twitter moving up and looking at the co-main event. People actually picking Tyron Woodley, and if I go back to the poll that I had, I'll try and tell you what we've got for a score. So 78% of voters picked Tyron Woodley to win the co-main event, 22% on Kamaru Usman. And we went a little neat. If you're following along on sportsbooth.tv, you can head into the poll section. I'll give credit where credit's due. This was all Matt, but we've got an amalgamation. You can either pick Smith, Woodley, Jones, Usman, Jones, Woodley, Smith, Usman. And that's the way that it goes. Those are the possible outcomes there, unless you're picking disqualifications.
Or draws.
Or draws, yeah. Then we can't help you there. But we thought we'd go that way, a little bit different than what we're used to, as we wait between rounds for Ciphers and Viana. Corners are leaving right now. Yeah, I mean, Matt, we said this on the episode of Fight Night Picks. If we were giving it a letter grade, what would we give it? I went with a straight A.
As did I.
Which doesn't normally happen for me.
No, but this is one of the bigger cards of the year. It is the biggest card up until right now.
All right, start of round number 2, Ciphers, Viana. We've got Ciphers up 10-9, round number 1.
And I know a lot of people are picking Woodley, and I picked Usman, but I just find it... Woodley's not young by any means. He's, 36? 37?
Yeah, he is.
So eventually age is going to play a factor, and he's had a lot of injuries as of late, so it's something that you do have to worry about a little bit. But, I mean, I don't know. I know I picked Usman, but the more I think about it, the more I'm kind of going back on my pick.
Yeah, I mean, I just got booted out of Fight Pass right there, which is always awesome while the fights are going on, and you're live. In the comments, JHK joining us. Thanks for joining us.
I don't know if he can. I think, as we just saw, like Craig White, who Diego Sanchez beat in his last fight, just fought for Cage Warriors like an hour and a half ago. And he lost the exact same way to some guy I've never heard of as he did to Diego Sanchez. So I don't know if it was the fact that Diego Sanchez looked all that great in that fight, that he was like a prospect killer all of a sudden. But I just think Mickey Gall's too good.
Yeah, I mean, Mickey Gall, you can rag on the quality of opponents that he's faced in the UFC, but the win over Sage Northcutt was probably the biggest one. I mean, Sage was still growing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was before he moved to Team Alpha Male, was it not? He was still just training.
I think that might have been his first fight with Team. I'm not sure, to be honest. It was a while ago.
I mean, it was still early as Viana looks to drop Ciphers, and now she pulls guard once again.
Fight. She got to look to sweep, though. She can't just stay on her back.
Yeah, Ciphers did a good job of getting back up to her feet the last time she was down here.
She did.
But Viana's got that lock in tight.
But again, if from a closed guard, you can't really do an awful lot. You've got to try to push off a hip, try to get butterfly hooks and, flip her over.
Exactly. And I mean, if we go back to the conversation about Diego Sanchez, I mean, in his last fight, myself, and if I'm not mistaken, I'll pull it up here. Odds makers, yeah, he was a slight underdog at a plus 170. But before that, losses to Ally Quinta and Matt Brown, which those are kind of weird opponents for Diego Sanchez to be
Matt Brown.
Somehow he beat Martian Held, which is really tough to try and comprehend because Martian Held, I mean, he was great in Bellator. He's been great since the UFC over in ACB or ACA now.
It's just you can't keep the Diego Sanchez fighting style your whole career. Eventually, that's going to come to an end. You can't just bite down and throw for 10 years. It's going to come to an end.
I should start my professional MMA career just out of scratch, just like a Jake Hager. I'm a big name, I'm a huge name, yeah, so I'm just going to start fighting. I think I'm going to adopt the Diego Sanchez brand of fighting.
Fight like Justin Gaethje.
Diego Sanchez, you won't, says Marty Usman.
No, I won't.
You wait. I'll throw hands.
He talks about it probably once a week, and he still hasn't done it. That was 2 years ago.
Closing in on 2 minutes remaining in round number 2, you've got Viana again.
Viana did a good job. She dropped her kind of at the start of the round, but then she was she's just content to be on her back right now.
Sort of see me as a high flyer.
He would be one of those guys like off the top rope WWE style.
Like Rob Van Dam or like Michelle Pereira there last weekend.
There you go.
Throwing moonsaults off the cage.
Rob Van Dam, what a guy. James Vick, there you go. You're built like him.
I'm kind of built like James Vick, but James Vick's 6'3", and I'm 5'11", so I can't.
5'10".
5'10", give me a break.
Craig's one of those guys who, he'll tell you he's 6 feet tall, but upon further investigation, you see it's kind of a sham.
It's weird you talk about that, and a guy that retiring last weekend, Stefan Struve, and I mentioned that during the show. Like, Stefan Struve, why would you say you're 6'11.5"? Give him the 7 feet. In the graphic that the UFC had online, were manlets easy. But if you looked at the graphic, it said 7 feet tall. And then they matched him up against all the different fighters. And Henry Cejudo, is it his belt? Is it Kelvin Gastelum's belt? I don't know.
It's full of staph. That's probably what it is. I would emerge that thing in rubbing alcohol. Yeah, so Polyana Viana, she was on her way to winning that round. And then...
They're showing that's the thing that bugs me. I just pump my tires and I don't want to seem that way.
What? Craig White?
But I'm that's my thing. That's my thing that I do. I mean, I'm a numbers guy. It's always numbers.
But numbers don't matter that much in MMA.
Yeah, and the numbers that they just showed on the graphic.
I'm actually over 6 feet tall, Marty from Usman, so.
Marty from Usman, Matt, really, with the language.
Okay, here's a fun fact for you guys. I fell asleep on a deflated air mattress for a solid hour, and I was extremely groggy when we went through the Periscope.
Yeah, Matt,
that's a little bit,
I told Matt before we went on Periscope, I said, hey, let's keep this fresh. Let's move through this quick. And we were on there for about 6 minutes as Matt decided, I'm going to go balls deep in the analysis.
I was very tired, guys.
Matt going all alpha, trying to out-alpha the alpha. But
we had a big supper, and then I was tired.
We did have a big supper. But a reminder, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram below. At Matt Allen FNP is where you can find him. At Craig Allen FNP. You can find me there. We're pretty active today. I'm back in the full-time workforce, so I'm not as active as I once was on Twitter. But at night, I light it up. And on the weekends, you can find us here. We typically do a fight campaign in a week. Next weekend, we've got a loaded card, and I tweeted out about that. But UFC on ESPN Plus 4.
Derek Lewis is back.
Ben Rothwell's the guy I'm looking for. So I want to see another. Post-fight.
That was pretty close. That wasn't bad.
That was weird as all hell.
That was weird as all hell.
Millie says, what's the next fight I'm going to? It's April 27th in Portland, Maine. Hopefully, if Matt can take the weekend off, we can bring Matt with us. But we're trying to schedule some interviews for that. Millie says NEF. Yes, NEF 38 Stormborn. We had something booked, but late notice had to pull out. So hopefully we're going to reschedule an interview this coming week. Another episode of This Week in MMA. So we get ready for round number 3 between these two. And there we go. So, I mean, Ciphers...
She's up 2 rounds.
She's up 2 rounds. We've got her 20 to 18 going into round number 3. Viana's going to need a finish. And Hannah Ciphers already is tougher than a Brazilian man on the street. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. She could also, protect herself from a mugging on the streets of Brazil.
She could probably protect herself from mugging on any streets.
Yeah, but I feel like Brazil's especially dangerous. You're downplaying it if you just say, like...
Good point.
Westland, Oregon.
About 30 seconds in, it's weird that Ciphers, she's kind of throwing a different look here in Southpaw. Kind of reminds me of Artem Lobov right now.
What do you guys think about Colby's antics? I don't like Colby Covington, but I thought this week is a kind of a whole was sort of a win for him. He's keeping his name in the conversation because if Usman beats Woodley, like I predict he will, Woodley's probably going to get an immediate rematch. You would imagine he's been champ for a really long time. He's kind of deserved that at this point. But if Woodley beats Usman, and again the
Usman
odds
beats Woodley. Oh, sorry.
I just said that.
Yes,
easy there, Craig. But if Woodley does beat Usman, it probably means Colby's next.
Yeah, I mean, I think Colby Covington's done a good job this week staying in the news cycle, whether it's TMZ or major MMA media outlets. He said a lot of ridiculous things. I retweeted the thing in the Panthers jersey about the car. I have no idea what he was saying, and I pretty much tuned it out at this point because it's all just fodder for news and for non-MMA outlets. But again, he's keeping his name fresh. He's in the conversation. Hannah Ciphers, I don't know if she's smiling, wincing, or crying.
There's just a lot of emotions going on in that cage.
Yeah, I mean, again, she's doing a good job of controlling distance, being the shorter fighter with less range. She's doing a lot better job, especially the movement on the feet. Whether or not her head's moving doesn't really matter so far into this one. And again, Ciphers is doing the better job. Yeah. I'm surprised that Viana has fought this way, considering what we've seen out of her before. I mean, we did see her pull guard in rounds 1 and rounds 2. But
look how well it turned out for her. She lost both.
Yeah, and she's not really throwing many kicks at all. Like, she's not doing a good job.
No, she looks awful. That's all I got.
That's all you got. Closing in at about the halfway mark here in round number 3. Deciding round. I mean, Viana needs a finish at this point.
Do you remember when she was on the main card of a pay-per-view against J.J. Aldrich? Like,
J.J. Aldrich,
yeah, Craig, that was one of the worst fights I've ever seen.
Not a good fight, but J.J. Aldrich is somebody that, they keep pumping her tires, and maybe we see her at the top of the division at some point.
Never.
Ciphers, a nice right overhand there. It was kind of slow, but it landed.
Yeah, both women are fatigued at this point.
Yeah, great analysis. Great.
Well, no, but, the pace is significantly slowed down.
It is. I mean, you see a lot more movement for Ciphers, and it's a smart fight at this point. You might as well just go in and out. A lot of movement, circle away from the lead hand of Viana. Johnny Walker by knockout, says Marty. I mean, Misha Cirkunov's a Canadian citizen.
This is what I don't understand about the UFC rankings. So, Alexander Rakic fought Justin Ledet.
Yep.
Beat him to high hell for 15 minutes. Didn't get ranked. Justin Ledet, coming off a loss to Rakic, loses to Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker gets ranked. So they beat the same guy. One guy beat him off a win. One guy beat him off a loss.
And that's a thing that I've ragged on for...
You know what I mean? It's very strange.
Yeah, I've ragged on it for the longest time. I mean, the UFC's ranking system is all relative, and it's all up to a group of journalists, and I'm sure... Listen, it's not like it's moderated by an outside body, so the UFC could have their hand in it. I know that sounds like I'm wearing a tinfoil hat.
Well, no, but that wouldn't be out of the question.
Exactly. I mean, it's like Anderson Silva was, 1-4 coming into his last fight, and all of a sudden, coming off a long layoff, he was ranked again. He didn't have to fight anybody to get ranked. So
still, Craig, that's Anderson Silva.
I know, but that's just...
He went 3 rounds with Israel Adesanya and made it competitive.
Listen, it was a good fight. I didn't say it wasn't, but that's just the way that it seems to look as these two continue to go back and forth.
I only bring up Rakic because a lot of people, there's a lot of hype behind guys like Dominic Reyes and Johnny Walker at this point, but 205's starting to kind of grow up with some new prospects all of a sudden, and Alexander Rakic is going to be in the top 15 here real soon.
From Rodney Yarbaugh on YouTube, we appreciate the follow. Again, if you're following us on YouTube, certainly appreciate the likes and the subs. If you're following along on sportsbooth.tv, you can find a link below on YouTube. Follow us there because it's in near real time. I mean, it's a split-second difference from us paying attention to Viana and Ciphers and you getting the info from us. Plus, we typically respond a little bit quicker to the chat over there as well. Viana's going Hook City.
I think Ciphers wins 29-28.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give it to Ciphers. Good head movement at the end. I'm going to give it 30-27 to Ciphers, but, I mean, it's a Ciphers win in our book. And a half-decent fight at 115, really.
Not really.
And for Ciphers, a good bounce back from her fight against Macy Barber.
Yeah, without a doubt. Just pulling on Viana for being the favorite that she was, I don't think she impressed at all.
No. So if we have a look, and I'm going to pull it up here on our screen, but if we have a look at the rankings, UFC.ca, because UFC.com we still can't get to. You look at women's strawweight, Weili Zhang at 15, Randa Marcos 14, Courtney Casey 13, Grasso, Herrig, and Calvillo. So if we look 10 to 15, I think that's more important than anything. You're not going to see one of these women with a win
she'll fight Alexa Grasso
pop up. You've got Alexa Grasso. If I'm not mistaken, Marcos has a fight coming up already. And Courtney Casey just fought, and I don't think that would be a good matchup. So yeah, Alexa Grasso would make sense as a matchup for the winner. And again, I've got Ciphers. But it's interesting to note, too, Macy Barber isn't ranked, so she could get, a fight.
I'll be completely honest with you, I can't think of many unranked strawweights right now.
It's tough. And strawweight and bantamweight are a division where a couple wins, you can move up
They're
pretty
very
quick.
Shallow.
And if you look at flyweight, it's actually become, not stacked, but it's tougher to make your
strawweight,
way
the top
up quick.
15 is pretty good. Or top 10, sorry, is actually pretty competitive. It just, after that, it kind of fizzles out. But, yeah, no, I agree with you. Flyweight's kind of the deepest of the divisions.
Yeah, and we see the output from Viana and from Ciphers here on a bit of a graphic.
Ciphers,
Yeah, it says that Viana was more active in rounds 1 and round 3.
But as we like to say, not every significant strike is created equal. Ciphers definitely hit her with the harder shot. She dropped her in the first. Had all that top control in the second. But I did think Viana won the third. So we'll see what the official decision is.
Buffer making the decision. Looks like a fairly simple one here.
It'll be a split, probably.
It's a split decision win here. 29-28 the way Ciphers, then 1 for Viana. Hannah Ciphers getting the win by split decision, her first win in the UFC. Not one to show a ton of emotions at weigh-ins after the fight. Coach grabbing her for a hug. She wants to go over there and tap Viana's back. What a class act, Hannah Ciphers, really.
As a loud dog barks in the distance.
That was a loud dog in the distance. But a good win, and her first one in the UFC. So if we move on, our next fight, Gina Mazzani taking on Macy Chasson, coming off the win on the Ultimate Fighter at, 145?
Yep.
Moving back down to 135. She had the win over Penny Kanzad. It was a mainstay in Invicta. If you look back, she hasn't lost a fight since 2016 when she was an amateur, and as an amateur had a pretty good record of 5-2 wins as a pro over Larissa Pacheco and Leah Letson on the Ultimate Fighter before winning the tournament back in November. And if you look at Gina Mazzani, again, we saw her debut in good old Halifax, Nova Scotia. And how did that debut go for Gina Mazzani?
First of all, Halifax, beautiful city. Secondly, Gina Mazzani got choked out in about 50 seconds.
Yeah, it was a tough...
And she missed weight.
To me, it seems like bad matchmaking to bring Gina Mazzani in against a former title challenger.
Yeah, but still, you just need somebody. It's not...
You just need somebody, and Gina Mazzani got just somebody in Sarah McMahon. If you go back, she came in on the Ultimate Fighter Season 18, had a loss to Juliana Pena, who's been out for quite some time.
Had a
she's
kid.
Pregnant, had a kid.
Sarah McMahon is now pregnant. That's why she's not fighting.
And Gina Mazzani, the win over Wu Yan Nan back in November of 2017. Then came back in 2018, a loss to Lena Landsberg. So we haven't seen her in quite some time. As I check on YouTube, we're at about a 15-second delay. Matt was doing a nice stretch. So in this fight, I'm taking Chasson. I think she's going to be able to get a win there. And Yeah, I mean, they're showing us some highlights of Anthony Smith over Shogun Hua.
I was talking about weird matchmaking. Why did they ever make Anthony Smith fight Rashad Evans in the first place? Rashad had lost about 16 fights in a row. Anthony Smith just lost to Thiago Santos. And then they're like, here, you know what's half a step under Thiago Santos? An old Rashad Evans.
Anthony Smith getting the win over Volkan Oezdemir. Craig Allen in the background.
Fine to hear about
Tippity tapping. Actually, I don't even think I had a computer with me because I left it out back. So I was just there with
hard
my
hitting
phone.
journalism as always.
Yeah, just there with my phone for the main and the co-main. Entertaining ones nonetheless, though.
Yeah, the main fight was really good. I rewatched it last night.
And in the co-main, Michael Johnson. So that's a new fight announcement. Michael
He's fighting
Johnson's
Josh
got a
Emmett.
fight.
That's a real good fight.
That's a fun one. Hopefully Josh Emmett's coming back at 100%. And I'm sure he's been out for quite some time, so he will be coming back.
Just the list of injuries, though, that he sustained. I mean, caved in sinuses, broken nose. Like, he had every
Orbital,
facial
yeah.
injury that you could possibly have.
We haven't seen him in any sort of competition since ACB JJ 14 back in June, where he took on Zubair Takugov. As we're getting a bit of a backstory on Chasson coming in here, that win on the Ultimate Fighter. I had Kianzad to get the win in that season, but again, I'm not a big Ultimate Fighter guy. I'll pay attention to the results, but the show just.
Like, I'll watch the finale because there's usually a fun main event on it. Like, that's where Justin Gaethje fought Michael Johnson. But still, the actual show itself, I can't be very interested in.
Matt can't be bothered with the Ultimate Fighter.
Gina Mazzani. Curious to see though how Macy looks in the first fight at 135 though.
That's what I was going to say too. Again, bringing Megan O'Leary back into the broadcast.
Big fan.
I like what they did with the first big ESPN card. They had her kind of on the side, and then you can see the fighters walking in, Megan doing her thing. But yeah, she always does a great job with the analysis and with the different bits in between. That's what she's doing here.
Yeah, it's kind of cool how they do that.
Yeah, you can see Chasson making the walk in.
She's big too, Chasson is. Like, you're going to see a significant height and reach advantage for her.
Yeah, she's going to be coming into to 135 with a big advantage like that against the other women in the division.
From New Orleans.
Kind of neat that her Twitter handle at MMA_NOLA. All right. I'd like to see some metrics, some numbers.
I'll give you some, Craig. She's 4-0 right now, currently as a professional. Most of her wins coming by stoppage. And that's all I know about her.
That's a tale of the tape from Matt.
She is a finisher, though. Like, if you did watch her in the Ultimate Fighter, because I went back and watched some of the fights that she was in, just kind of in preparation for this, she is a finisher. She got really good Muay Thai, especially in the clinch. She's got good knees to the body. That's how I think she's going to beat Mazzani. And then on the ground, too, we saw in the finals for the Ultimate Fighter, she did win by rear naked choke.
Yeah.
So she's definitely adept at all areas of MMA. Wrestling's kind of her one weakness that we've seen is also Mazzani's strength, if you want to give her any real strength. So that's going to kind of be the one X factor of this fight. But I do think that if Macy can just kind of keep the fight on the feet, she's going to light up Gina.
Yeah, and you look at Gina Mazzani, her last win by finish was back in it was May 2016. Finish over Katie Halley, who was 2-1 at the time. So that was the last finish or stoppage win that we saw from Mazzani. And coming into this one, her last win was back in November of 2017 over Wu Yan Nan, who was 9-1 at the time, so good win there. Decision win at UFC Fight Night 122. So let us know what you're thinking about this card. I mean, we rated it an A. That first fight was actually fairly competitive between Ciphers and Viana.
I'm kind of interested. I don't understand why Gina wouldn't want Tim Elliott in her corner, because he's taken kind of a coaching role in his time off, because he's had a few injuries, so... I mean, I know her brother's a fighter too, but he's not nearly the level of what Tim Elliott is.
Whoa, EFC champ Dave Mazzani?
Yeah, he's not that good, Craig.
Who, if I'm not mistaken, did retire after his last win. If I'm not mistaken, I'll fact check that myself.
Tim Elliott he went 5 rounds. Demetrius Johnson was competitive in many of them.
Yeah, so did Ian McCall.
Ian McCall was really good back in the day.
He was, yeah.
So I don't know what kind of a shout out to Ian McCall if you're watching.
Uncle Creepy.
I was a big fan of his.
All right, so we get the particulars on Gina Mazzani. 2 wins by knockout, 1 by submission, but again, hasn't had a finish win in a while.
Is that something you're real proud of?
BJJ blue belt and 3 first-round finishes. I mean, those are the 3 finishes below. UFC really digging deep on those.
They really are. BJJ blue belt. She teaches the kids class on Sundays, guys.
Coming at you from Alaska. A lot of Alaskan fighters. Good Good league up there, Alaskan FC. And you see a lot of fighters. We were mentioning it before. A lot of Hawaiians that will travel up to fight there. So kind of neat from them. A lot of good NHL players from Alaska. Scott Gomez is one that comes to mind.
Kurt Schilling's built out of Alaska, is he not?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is.
There you go.
Yeah, some good baseball players too. Definitely rugged country.
Oh, for sure. They're basically Canadians, but they're not.
Well, it was annexed in 1867 for $1, the Alaskan Purchase. See, if you come to Fight Night Picks,
you're going to learn something.
You're going to learn something. You get all sorts of knowledge. I mean, last night I went to an all-Canadian country. I ate poutine before. Tonight we had lobster, bugs of the sea.
I watched the Raptors game last night while Craig was at a concert.
5-inch height advantage for Macy Chasson. She's going to have a reach advantage of 3.5 inches. She came in half a pound over Mazzani, but both of them making the 135 limit.
And I know they did show a lot of her training with Dustin Poirier back. I know he trains at ATT, but his kind of home gym, if you will, in Louisiana, she trains there. So she definitely has good training partners to work with. Exactly.
And she's a minus 500 favorite here, according to the UFC. These were the odds that I pulled up before from Best Fight Odds. That's typically where I go. FightOdds.io does a good job, too, and they'll show the line movement pretty well. You got to just click a button if you're on Best Fight Odds. But... yeah, FightOdds.io. Go follow them on Twitter. Not enough people like their stuff and share it around. They do a good job.
And for the kind of bets that I made for this evening, I've got Robbie Lawler beating Ben Askren, which is, I know it's kind of out there. I've got Cody Garbrandt beating Pedro Munoz, and I've got Marty from Nebraska beating Tyron Woodley. And if all those three hit, it's a parlay for $10. The payout's $106. So I thought that was kind of safe to go with.
All right, so we get ready. Our referee looks like somebody robbed...
Thank you, Billy.
Somebody robbed Tan Dan.
Dan Danny's the man. What was that from? Do you remember?
Those commercials that he used to do?
That's true.
The Ford commercials where he pulled
you have
out...
Judge Pulver in your back seat. Is that who it was?
I thought it was Joe Stevenson.
It could have been.
Anyway, Chasson opens up. Orthodox stance. Mazzani.
She's huge for the
Southpaw. Yeah, I mean... Chasson's got a huge advantage as far as height and reach are concerned. Good combo she's stringing together here. I mean, even if they don't land, she's doing a good job. Marty is bouncing. You'll be back for Johnny Walker. Can't blame you. That's going to be a hell of a fight.
It really is.
Yeah, Mazzani's kind of on the back foot here right now. I mean, you can't blame her because Chasson's throwing the kitchen sink. Nice left hand there for Chasson.
She keeps on catching her. Gina Mazzani's striking does not look very crisp.
It doesn't look bad.
She threw that old...
But Chasson looks like another level.
Oh, she does, and I'm not taking anything away from her, but you see, I hate to say it like this, because he is a good fighter, even though he's not exciting, but she's throwing Elias Theodoro-esque strikes, where it's like, I'm just going to point fight you. I'm not trying to actually hurt you.
Yeah, I mean, and she could be trying to set up some of the wrestling here, but Chasson really keeping that pace high. A nice left hand there, and another left from Mazzani, too. Jace Case has a head kick coming. I think we're going to see a head kick from Chasson. And again, into the clinch. A point of pride for Chasson here. Mazzani with good wrestling again. So it's going to be interesting to see what we get out of this at 3:33 of the first round. First fight at women's bantamweight that we've seen tonight. First and only, if I'm not mistaken.
That's the weird thing about women's bantamweight. The division itself isn't very active. You'll go a month without seeing a women's bantamweight fight.
Oh, man. Really good combo strung together.
She put her down.
Hook City. And that's a wrap.
Macy Chase, that was intense.
Yeah, so Macy Chasson looks like she belongs at 135 in the UFC. Yeah. I mean, 145, you're just going to feed her to the wolf. Because there's not wolves.
You're basically, it's like, do you want to fight Amanda Nunes? No, not really. All right, you're a 135er now. That's all it is.
I was going to say Chris Cyborg, because I don't think Amanda Nunes is going to be back up at 145.
I would avoid Amanda Nunes like the plague if I'm a woman right now.
Let me know in the comments right here. Do you think it's silly that we're going to have Holly Holm fighting for a title?
Oh, so she hit her with that... Oh, yeah, that was the end of her.
Yeah, I mean, a great job by Chasson.
I hate to say this. Does Gina Mazzani get cut?
I mean, either get cut or stick around but have some fights in Invicta, because she hasn't had any fights in Invicta.
That's what I mean, but Invicta's not part of the UFC.
No, exactly. Maybe send her down for a bit, see how that goes. I mean, we've seen it with Pearl Gonzalez. There was a lot of hype. Maybe she comes back to the UFC. We saw it with Angie Hill, too. Go to Invicta, gain some experience. JHK says she's marketable.
But is she, though? She's not that great at fighting. She's not overly exciting. She's on the Fight Pass prelims right now, so that's
She's
not
crying
really...
after a loss. Man.
But she just got lit up.
Yeah, that was a big win for Chasson for sure. Man, this is...
As the referee consoles her.
Yeah, this is a Dan Miragliotta look
Don't
like...
need to be good at fighting. You kind of do that.
No, Adam Lobov didn't.
But again, is Gina Mazzani...
Sam Punk didn't need to
I don't know where the marketability comes from with Gina Mazzani. We know who she is, because if you're watching this, that means you're a hardcore and you watch pretty much every fight card. But does the wider audience really know who Gina Mazzani is?
I mean, listen, maybe you guys need to duke it out. Maybe we need to get like an international fight going on here. Matt's going to get into a fisticuffs. You just woke up.
She's 5-3. She's not that good. She's not that marketable.
Matt's too tall.
He's too tall.
Hey, you could have an open
Not
weight
really.
fight.
I'm built like Kermit the Frog. So,
yeah, it's a pretty easy fight if you're willing to take it.
If a girl ever describes me to her friends, it's he has a great personality. Because after there, it goes downhill. So that's a little bit about me.
Okay, so let's look at Macy Chasson.
Yeah.
Let's look at women's bantamweight. Let's talk first about the movers and shakers at 135. Ketlin Vieira, mover and shaker.
She's
right?
very good, yeah.
Very good. All right. So let's start bottom to top.
Yeah.
So champ is Nunez. She's going to be there for a while.
She's never losing that belt.
Jermaine Durandamy fights once in a blue moon.
Exactly.
Holly Holm at number 2. She's getting a shot.
Holly Holm gets all the title shots.
Which is silly because, listen, I like Holly Holm a lot.
Her last bantamweight win was Betch Correa.
Yeah, she's been able to kind of change her style a little bit. We saw it against Megan Anderson in her last one where she went takedowns just heavy. And it was a good job from somebody who doesn't really have a background whatsoever in wrestling. So good job by her. Then you got Raquel Pennington. You got Kat Zingano, who's coming off that loss to Megan Anderson, and that was a tough one. But they're
veterans of the sport, so you can't give Macy, you can't jump her up that quick.
And so is Marion Renault. And then Aspen Ladd, you talk movers and shakers. She's a mover and shaker. Good, yeah. Sarah McMahon, who's going to be off for quite a while. Yana Kunitskaya, who has looked good.
Well, she's fighting Marion Renault in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm pretty high on Yana Kunitskaya. Her wrestling's good. Her striking's good. She's an all-around good fighter. Betch Correa's got a fight coming up, but she's not a mover and shaker.
She's not good.
Tanya Evinger.
She's fighting Arena Aldana, who we kind of skipped over.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know why I missed her. Tanya Evinger was a mover and shaker in Invicta, and I wish her nothing but the best in the UFC.
She's a scrappy gal.
And she had to fight Chris Cyborg in the first women's featherweight title fight.
It's tough to do.
That's a tough one. Lena Landsberg has a lot of good wins, but I don't think she's somebody that's going to boom right up the division. Toledo Bernardo has looked decent in some fights.
She's 1 and 2.
I don't think she's a huge mover and shaker. And Mayra Bueno Silva could be if she could string together a bunch of submission wins, maybe, or if she can get really exciting. But I don't think she's at the same caliber of an Aspen Ladd, a Ketlin Vieira, and Irene Aldana.
This is how weak that division is, and I'm going to rag on women's bantamweight for a second. I think Chasson would already beat everyone in the top 15, not in the top 10. So anyone from 15 to 10, she beats Aldana, she beats Tanya Evinger, she would beat Correa easily. That's kind of how weak this
Chasson is a contender. Yeah. Modafferi, Yana, Jessie Jess all be good matchups.
Jessie Jess could be a fun fight, actually.
Yeah.
Modafferi's too small.
I think Chasson, the way that she's looking right now, she's a top 5 bantamweight. Like, it's pretty easy to skim and go up that quick. I mean, she looked great in that fight. She looked great submitting Penny Kanzad in her last fight. So, I mean, she's done great so far. It'll be interesting to see how our next fight goes. And if we have a look at our next fight, this is an interesting one because I considered it if I go into here and I pull up the article, Pick and Winner UFC 235 Fight of the Night. You can find that article, fightnightpicks.net. There's a link below in the description on YouTube. And like I said, fightnightpicks.net. You can find it there. But I considered this one as possibly a fight of the night because Shabazian was on a huge win streak with finishes before his last one. The win streak continued. I mean, Darren Stewart arguably won that fight.
I thought he did.
Split decision win. If you look at Charles Bird, he's a guy that in a recent article on Fansided MMA was considered to be on the chopping block. I don't think so, just based on the fact that he had wins over Quentin Henry, and then Jamie Pickett and Randall Wallace, and those were both on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series in 2017. Then he had a win over John Phillips, who big guy from Wales.
But still, that's
his wrestling's good, but yeah, he was able to get the win by RNC, and then he got finished by Darren Stewart in a fight he was winning at the time.
Darren Stewart hits like a ton of bricks,
and it was just quick elbow, and that was the end of the fight. And if you're a guy like Charles Bird, I mean, he can get finished. He is susceptible to that. So if we move back over, we can get our regular look here. I mean, Matt, we had
very
what?
high on Kamaru Usman.
Yeah, and we had 2 quick finishes right there, so we probably got a little bit of
quick finishes.
2 quick fights, rather. Even that decision fight seemed to go quick, and then we're into the next one. We're going to have pretty quick timing on the prelims before we move on to, the early prelims before the regular prelims. I mean, Matt, why don't we have a little bit of a look, and I'll pull it up here because I don't think I added it. But do you guys see UFC is using sensors in the gloves to calculate significant strikes? It's going to be interesting to see how that goes about, because in PFL, they count like every movement of a hand as a strike, and then they bring these metrics up that are so damn silly. But I'm sure the UFC's got it down, especially with the fact that they switched out fight metric. Now it's UFC stat, so it's a little bit easier for fans to find it.
I just think it's a good idea, but still, you kind of have to vary. Not all significant strikes are the same. Is there just a certain level where, okay, this, like, the power of this is considered a significant strike? Because, like, I'm trying to think. Okay, so Dustin Poirier's fight Max Holloway here soon. They both are volume guys, but Poirier definitely hits way harder than Max Holloway does. So if Poirier hits you with a straight right, and if Holloway does, do they consider them the same, or do they give the advantage to the one that hits harder?
It's really hard to tell.
And do the judges have that information too?
Yeah, that'd be interesting to know. I doubt it. If it's a totally new thing, I doubt we'll get to see it. As Megan O'Leary interviewing Hannah Ciphers, that's pretty cool. That's a new thing.
Yeah.
That's all you got, yeah?
I don't know what more you want me to tell you, Craig. She won a split decision.
I mean, it was a good second fight in the UFC. That's kind of cool. Good stuff.
I'm kind of curious as to what Twitter's saying about that Macy Chasson fight.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great win for her for sure. And if you don't have the video preloaded, it's no mas on this one. It's not going to work. But we can go through the new fight announcements as we go along. I'll pull them up here.
Oh, here's a fun fact for you. So John Jones and Tyron Woodley are both getting paid a flat fee of $500,000 for a show and win. It's kind of lumped together. And then challengers Anthony Smith and Kamaru Usman are both getting $350,000. And then I'm sure there's like kind of back end bonuses and pay per view bonuses for all 4 of those guys. But that's the flat rate that everyone's getting.
Good info to know. O'Leary versus Ciphers is a good matchup. I mean, height for height, but again, I'm calling for you and Matt. I want to see you and Matt duke it out. Let's meet in the middle somewhere. Let's make this happen.
I got nothing for you, Craig. You're trying to be a promoter for something that's never going to happen.
Are you going to have to wear headgear?
No.
No headgear. That's ballsy.
Let's see here.
So, new fight announcements as of February 19th. I believe Nolan's had a newer article. Yeah, he definitely has for sure. I'm going to have to find that.
I just see Cub Swanson on Flow Combat. What happened to Cub Swanson, and is he ever fighting again?
That's a good question.
He's lost 3 in a row. He's been finishing 2 of them. He looks like a shell of himself.
A shell of himself? Wow.
When's the last time you saw Cub Swanson even hurt somebody with a punch?
It's been a while.
It was Doo Ho Choi, and that was at UFC 206.
I think this was it. This is definitely it. So if we go back, we're on Flow Combat. Another one from Nolan King, February 26th. Good article there. We can stream it here. Yeah, you could.
All right, you guys are going to all figure it out.
JHK MMA at Matt Allen FNP. Let's make it happen. This is like This is like bully beatdown where Matt gets beat, or it's like rough and rowdy, but Matt gets beat.
No,
either way you slice it, Matt gets beat.
I have extremely basic training in kickboxing and jiu-jitsu, so if you've gone for more than 2 weeks, you're probably going to kick my ass.
You guys should do rough and rowdy.
I'll do rough and rowdy, sure.
Between me and Matt, we should get somebody to film
I would
it.
light Craig on fire, and it's not even a joke.
I think I could win. I've got the butterbean glove behind me there.
Craig's never trained a day in his life in any martial art.
All right, Matt. So if we turn from rough and rowdy to new fight announcements, we went over this on the latest show. I cut the video before we started, and for some reason, just an oversight on my part to throw it into the broadcast. But it's more fun if we go over it anyway. Thumb wrestling. Listen, thumb wrestling. You guys could play fiddlesticks. You could. I don't know. We gotta have like It's going to be like feats of strength from Festivus.
I'll do basketball.
And regardless, Matt's going to lose. So if we look at the new fight announcements, UFC Fight Night 148 from Nashville, it's actually a really good card.
Yeah, it's really good. The main event's weak, but other than that, the card's pretty good.
So if we look at the fights, Eric Shelton, Jordan Espinoza, I feel like a broken record, but the fact that Eric Shelton's still in the UFC at 2-3 at flyweight, Jordan Espinoza making his UFC debut at flyweight, it's just weird that there's going to be another flyweight fight in the UFC. If you're predicting a winner here, I'm going Shelton. I like his wrestling. I think he's going to be able to get it done, and best Espinoza. But what's the fate of the flyweight division in the UFC?
Basically, it seems like every time someone loses, they just kind of get cut off that loss until there's going to be no one left. That's what it looked like. But again, you brought up the fact that he's 2-3 and he's still in the UFC, so it's kind of weird. But I would agree with you. I think he will get the fight. He will win the fight with his wrestling, but I just don't see flyweight being... I know Henry Cejudo kind of saved him momentarily when he beat TJ Dillashaw, but I just don't think... I think it extends the life of it, but I don't really think it reinvigorates it.
So if we have a look at another fight that was announced recently on that one, Chris Grutzmacher taking on Jesus Pinedo. Matt's a big Grutzmacher fan. Jesus Pinedo's got off a win over Devin Powell. If you're picking a winner in that one, Pinedo's a guy that I looked at his record, and it was kind of tough to judge based on fighting guys in Central America and South America as to how he's going to make out in the Powell fight. And Grutzmacher's a guy that's 2-2 in the UFC. So if you're going on this one, it's for me to try and pick, but I'm going Pinedo in this one.
No, I'll say Grutzmacher. He knocked out Joe Lozon in his last fight, and that Joe Lozon's so over the hill, it's not even funny, but still, that's still something.
Joe Lozon at this point is a good coach at Lozon's.
So just coach. You don't need... You know a guy's kind of done in his career where he just kind of accepts damage. He doesn't throw anything back. A lot of people thought, for instance, like BJ Penn in his sort of more recent outings, he just would get hit, and then he had nothing to kind of respond with. And Joe Lozon's kind of at that point. A lot of people thought, for instance, like Anderson Silva was going to be like that against Israel, but he kind of proved that, okay, he can take some damage still, and he can still dish out quite a bit. And I think, yeah, Lozon's better suited for coaching at this point in his career.
Okay, that's fair. If we look up March 30th, which, man, it's just rolling right up on us. UFC on ESPN2 from Philly.
The main event is almost too much.
Main event's super good. It sucks that Eddie Alvarez is with one, because I know he'd want to be on this card. It was kind of like a kick in the nuts that he left.
Same thing that Paul Felder would have wanted to be on this, but he...
Exactly, the old collapse lung. Ray Borg and Liu Pingyuan added to this one. Borg is 5-3 in the UFC. Coming up in 6 minutes is Edmund Shavazian.
Yeah, started at 8:30.
Yeah, exactly. And Ping Yuang at 2-0 in the UFC. Good to see Borg back in
it is.
The UFC.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute for sure. And it's time for Joe versus BJ. I mean, hey, you want to have some rolling fights, just straight up UFC rolling matches? Let's make it happen. Good to see Ray Borg back, and this is a good fight at bantamweight, so I'm glad it's happening. Another one that Matt and I had already mentioned, Michael Johnson and Josh Emmett. Crazy to think that Michael Johnson's 11-8 in the UFC. Also crazy to think, was that Tony Ferguson's last loss, was Michael Johnson?
Michael Johnson's beat Edson Barbosa, Tony Ferguson, and Dustin Poirier. That's insane.
It is insane.
Like, two of those guys, the top 3 lightweights in the world. One guy's fighting Justin Gaethje in a fight that's... How they're even sanctioning that? That's... Everyone's getting a concussion in that fight.
I'm just excited for this card. I think it's good that Philly gets a card like this, too. I mean, it's a fight town. I'm sure It Me Gritty will show up there.
That'd be great.
And he told the Philadelphia, the Pittsburgh Penguins mascot to sleep with one eye open bird. So hopefully Gritty gets involved. Maybe you have a mascot versus mascot fight. Maybe Matt can get in on this action.
You're really pushing hard for me to get into a fight, and the joke's kind of lost its luster.
I'd love to see it.
UFC 236, they did just announce the main and co-main events. There's a bit of a press conference yesterday. It's Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier, which is such a good fight, it's not even funny.
Do you disagree with the fact that that fight's being made? Because a lot of people on social media don't like it. They don't like it at all because Tony Ferguson's kind of lost in the aftermath.
Don't decline the fight then, Tony. That's really all I have to say. And I love Tony Ferguson, but, like, you know what's going to happen.
You know what's going to happen. Tony Ferguson's going to get Conor McGregor.
Maybe, but Tony Ferguson's not getting any younger. He's in that Tyron Woodley range where he's, 36, 37?
He's not a young fella.
Tony Ferguson isn't getting any younger, and he's not going to get a name bigger than Max Holloway unless he's fighting Khabib. You know what I mean? Like, Max is a big name.
Or Conor McGregor.
Or Conor McGregor. Those are the only two fights that would outweigh a Max Holloway fight. Especially Max, it seems like he's starting to finally get a little bit more popularity. People see how exciting he is to watch. He's kind of, like, he's goofy and different. So people really like Max Holloway. And I just don't... I could understand not fighting Dustin Poirier because he's extremely dangerous, but he doesn't have as big of a star as kind of those other three guys. But it turned out a fight against a guy who's kind of has to come up a weight class to fight you. It's kind of... I don't know. And I don't even know if Nate's a bigger name than Max at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he might be, but that fight, I don't see it being overly competitive, really.
I think Tony lights him on fire.
Coach Edmund is in the corner of Shabazian. Is he the black cat of MMA? I mean, he was in the corner of Shabazian in his last fight, and he was able to win that by split, but I don't know. I mean, humble man.
Yeah.
Humble man.
I wouldn't go to his gym, put it that way.
I mean, Viana Smirtrazane was at his gym for a long time, and then they threw him to the Wolf in Triple G, and Triple G hit that...
a 13-punch combo that sent him to the moon.
Yeah. That was a tough fight.
But then Paige Van Zandt, she broke her arm again, so she won't be fighting on that card.
No, Wilson Hayes taking on Alexandra Pantoja. That's kind of a fun one.
Look, we completely forgot the co-main event. Kelvin Gastelum versus Israel Adesanya.
That one, to
God.
me, it's kind of a shame that Kelvin Gastelum has to fight for an interim belt. Like, if I was Kelvin Gastelum, I'd just wait. I'm sure
they would skip over him and go to Israel.
I'm sure there's some incentives, too, to taking this fight. Like, maybe
you get pay-per-view points.
You get pay-per-view points. Yeah, they did say that. The interim belts, they're going to get pay-per-view points. I thought for a while the pay-per-view points were kind of like a thing of the past, but they're still sticking around. Adesanya's going to get his due as well, so it's good to see that.
This is how much pay-per-view points kind of have to play into how much you make. No one was talking about this, but I remember the flat rate when DC fought Derek Lewis was he made $500,000. It kind of seems what they pay most of their champions. But Joe Rogan kind of let it slip on a podcast once. And he was like, Daniel Cormier made $4.5 million to fight Derek Lewis. So, like, you're making a lot of money off pay-per-views if you're kind of a star like Daniel Cormier is. So, yeah, if you're Kelvin Gastelum, you're fighting on the same card as Max Holloway. Israel Adesanya is a big name. Why would you not take this fight? Because you're going to make over $1 million.
Yeah, I mean, and some of the other fights that kind of complement these, you got Eric Anders taking on Chloe Roundtree at 205. You got OSP and Nikita Krylov at 205.
Bombs away.
You've got Montel Jackson taking on Andre Sukumtoth at 135. And that one's a fun fight, too. As long as the fight goes more than like a round, that could be a fun one.
Both guys are kind of known to gas, though. So
yeah, and they're both known. They can finish fights, too. It's a fun one, except if you're taking on Sean O'Malley, and man, that's beating a dead horse at this point.
You've fed that fed horse for a long time.
Give me a break. That's a good one.
At this point, you've been overfeeding it for 3 weeks.
UFC St. Petersburg. UFC going back to Russia. They said they're going to go there twice in 2019. This is the first iteration. You've got Marcin Tybura taking on Shamil Abdurakhimov. That's going to be a boring fight. I mean, Matt, I'm glad you hit that.
I just lost all the energy in my body when you
Marcin Tybura is the type of guy that grinds out a fight. Shamil Abdurakhimov is also a type of guy that grinds out a fight, so you're not going to be fireworks.
The best kind of styles.
I think Tybura is going to try and take the fight to the ground. And
I do too.
That way.
I think he's more athletic of the two, so I do think he will win that fight. And then they don't have the main event on there, but still, I don't know if there's been kind of a formal announcement as to what it is.
Yeah, there has.
Oh, has there? Yeah, Alistair Overeem's fighting Alexander Volkov, and that fight's going to be really good, and it's not going to go the distance.
Yeah, and I mean, in this break in the action, Matt could not make more noise with his chair. He's reset a couple times, and that's just the way she goes. Krzysztof Jotko taking on Roman Kopylov. That's a really fun fight. A lot of people are high on Kopylov coming into the UFC at 8-0, making his debut against Jotko, who's hot and cold in the UFC.
He's on a bad losing streak.
And he's on a bad losing streak, too. So interesting there. The camera looks like it's moving a little bit, but I don't think much is going on. And I'm surprised that there's not a ton of people in T-Mobile Arena yet.
Yeah, just fight past prelims. What can you do?
Hey, man. I've been a fan at two UFC events. The Halifax and 220, and I was there as early as I could be. Now we get Shabazian versus Bird. We'll go over a few more fight announcements. UFC on ESPN, Fort Lauderdale. Carlos Esparza, Lavia Renata Souza. That's a fun one. That is a fun one. Not. Jessica Panay taking on Jodie Escobar. They rebooked that one. Jim Miller and Jason Gonzalez. Diego Lima, Court McGee.
That's a terrible fight. Court McGee's going to beat the brakes.
Andre Arlovsky and Augusto Sakai. That could be fun. And Fisev is one to watch. UFC St. Petersburg will likely make his debut there against the Victim. That's a good way of picking it.
Yeah.
That's pretty fair. I'm looking forward to that one as well. But UFC Ottawa,
It's awful.
we lamented this in This Week in MMA on Thursday. Man, hey, come on. Come on.
I've never been to Ottawa. I know you have. I don't know how nice of a city it is.
Moncton was
Sure, it's beautiful.
all right.
The main event was good, at least. In Moncton.
Megan O'Leary doing the thing again.
Big Megan O'Leary.
This is kind of cool. It looks like I'm sure it's a crane. It looks like a drone.
What if they run out? Like, remember that clip from where the football team runs out, the cheerleader gets just smacked?
Yeah, I don't.
That's a dangerous place to walk, Megan.
Megan's got to have an eye on the prize and also an eye on whatever could be going on in front of her. This is, we're getting into dangerous territory.
I'm concerned for Megan's health, and I don't want to see Joseph Benavidez have to defend her honor.
All right, yeah, that was ballsy there. Charles Bird makes the walk here. But yeah, UFC Moncton is not good.
Or Ottawa, you mean?
Yeah, UFC Ottawa, not good. UFC Halifax was good.
It was great.
Calgary,
actually.
really good.
Which one was Calgary?
July 28th. It
Poirier,
was
Alvarez, too. Oh, yeah, Aldo. Yeah, that fight.
Aldo and Jeremy Stevens. But looking forward to 2019. So they said we're going to get 3 cards in Canada. One of them is Ottawa. One of them's most likely going to be Vancouver, and then you're going to get a card either in Edmonton or in Calgary. Alberta always shows up. They had the big unified show. If I'm not mistaken, this week? Yeah, it's this weekend. And Teddy Ash is fighting on that one. There were 3 UFC vets on that card as well. She looks like a rapper walking out. She looked like a rapper walking back, which was interesting. And Matt, I'll let you take it from here. I got to take a step away.
So, as we're about to get ready for this fight, Charles Birdie has 7 first-round finishes, which is kind of insane. But like Craig said, he's very much finish or get finished. He's all-or-nothing kind of fighter, which is fun to watch, but it kind of, I don't know. You wouldn't teach a young guy to fight in his kind of style. As we see, he has 3 wins by knockout, 5 by submission. Almost done these Fight Pass prelims. I'm curious, what fights are you guys most looking forward to that isn't kind of, main event, co-main event? Personally, I'm really excited for that Jeremy Stevens Zabit Magomedsharipov fight. I know there's a lot of hype behind Zabit. I'm not on that hype train just yet. I think he's beat a bunch of cans, might be a strong word, but he hasn't really beat any top-level fighters just yet. But if he can beat Jeremy Stevens, he's ready for, top 5, top 10 to top 5, I'd say. Maybe a guy like... You agree? Well, thank you. Yeah, I think I'm really surprised that Zabit's getting all this shine in the featherweight division, where you see guys like Alexander Volkanovski, who he's in the same division, he's younger than Zabit is, and he's been way more impressive in all of his wins. He's beaten higher level guys. I mean, he beat Jeremy Kennedy. I don't know if a lot of you guys remember who Jeremy Kennedy is. He's with Brave now, but he was undefeated at the time. Phenomenal Canadian prospect. And, as Edmund Shabazian gets ready to go into the cage, we see Edmund Tarverdian, the OG. But, I think there's guys like Volkanovski. I do think Yair would beat Zabit. I know that's not really a popular opinion nowadays, but I think Yair's got more higher level experience as Craig returns. And, we see Head Movement just got into frame.
Head Movement.
But yeah, I'm just talking about the fact that it's really weird how in the featherweight division, and we were talking about this earlier today, how Zabit's got all this shine, but guys like Alexander Volkanovski have looked way more impressive in all of their fights. They're younger than Zabit is.
Beating bigger names
and have tougher fights, how he doesn't have kind of the hype behind him that Zabit does.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point to make for sure, as they show the Shotokan Karate black belt. And it's interesting with Shotokan, too. Our guest that we were supposed to have on this week in MMA, rescheduled for next week, he's also a guy who's belted in Shotokan Karate. It's something that you don't see a whole heck of a lot of.
Underboy, that's...
Yeah, exactly. And the fighter that we're going to have on, it's him and his daughter. They're both into it in Maine. So now we're starting to give it away a little bit. I'll really sell the farm here. A cruiserweight fighter who's going to be fighting at 225 again in his next one as we get the particulars on Shabazian and Bird. Shabazian 14 years younger, and it's going to have a 3-inch height advantage, but on the reach only an inch, so it'll be interesting to see if he kind of tries to if he's going to go with the boxing.
Look
first.
who it is.
Steve Mazzagatti sitting cage side.
Back again.
He does that a lot. We see a lot of Mazzagatti. Zabit versus Ortega.
Volkan Aldo, while Holloway is testing lightweight. I would favor Ortega and Aldo in those. I don't know. Don't give Aldo prospects anymore. He's just going to beat all of them. Aldo's only losing to one guy at featherweight.
I think Volkanovski's fun. there.
Matt hates Zabit. I don't hate Zabit. If he wins tonight, I'll be on that train. I'm just not sold on him just yet. That's all.
Listen, I'm picking Stevens to win this one. Matt's got a big Jeremy Stevens bias here.
I like Jeremy Stevens a lot.
Let it be known.
Well, Holly. I think, yeah. I know Ortega is kind of campaigning for that Aldo fight. But again, if Aldo keeps on beating prospects, who's going to fight Holloway? Because I doubt they're ever going to give they're not going to give
Holloway's
Aldo.
probably going to stick around at 155.
So do you do like a vacant title,
Yeah.
Aldo versus Volkanovski, or Aldo versus Ortega?
Aldo against somebody as we get ready for round number 1 between these two guys at 185. There we go. We got the timer ready.
I do like Jose Aldo an awful lot.
Both of these fellers.
I know I'll lose eventually, but I think he said that he's only got 1 year left on his contract, so 2 fights more kind of at the max.
Yeah, if he can win the title back, cap it,
That'd be kind of
and then
cool.
leave.
And then just keep on opening burger franchises.
About 15 seconds in, Shabazian looking to push the action. He's definitely the bigger man here.
Yeah, I should say.
Looking to land some combos. I'm not a big fan of a fighter really covering up, like, big time. As is Berg going for a takedown, which is kind of surprising.
Got those Travis Brown elbows.
Oh!
It's
Oh!
That was quick. Aldo versus Cranes. That's not a terrible idea. That could be a fun fight.
Yikes! The old Travis Brown elbows and the old kind of walk-off... what was he going to go for? Was he going to go for the
I'm not sure.
Julius Caesar?
I know that now we have 22 minutes until the prelims start.
Yeah,
So that's real neat.
That was a fun one. Aldo... Yeah, Coach Edmund is... Yeah, the curse is over. Hey, I mean, they got the win in the last one. But, yeah, so Shabazian back to his first-round finishing ways. They show the uppercut on the takedown attempt for Bird. That wasn't the telling sign. It was those elbows. All of them look legal. Behind the ear a little bit.
On the direct back of the head, put him down. Let's be fair.
Listen, Mark Smith was right there. I'm fine with it.
There's a suspect elbow, but yeah, I think it's clean. As Craig does the polite thing and mutes the mic while he sneezes.
Mutes the mic on an intense sneeze as we continue on. And again, thanks for everyone who's joining us. If you're joining us for the first time over on YouTube, or you could be here with us on Sports Booth, consider finding us on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me at Craig Allen FNP. You can find Matt at Matt Allen FNP. You can also subscribe here for more great content. If you're on YouTube, you can find past episodes of This Week in MMA. We gave a breakdown of this weekend's action, previewed some of the fights coming up, as well as some of the retirements, and we'll get into those tonight as well. And yeah, there's all sorts of fun here. You can find us live and in real time on sportsboot.tv. You can see it there. You can find a link down below if you're on YouTube. It's been a lot of fun. We just need some clarity.
The only problem is Aldo's coming off 2 knockout wins, and Korean Zombie just got knocked out.
That was an intense sneeze that I had back there. Joe Rogan's in the cage finally to do an interview.
Can't say I'm the biggest Joe Rogan fan anymore with the UFC. I think that there's better guys. There, I said it.
Yeah, he's very biased.
He is.
Listen, we're all biased. I mean...
Some of us love Jeremy Stevens.
MMA-JA, so I try and take the bias out of it the best I can, but I'm also in the picks game, and I
say what I want.
I gotta try and form an opinion, so that's the way I go about it. It's based on...
Greg's a communist.
Reasoning and fact.
It's a member of the organizations.
I think that letting Jimmy Smith go was a poor decision. I, like a lot of people, figured that Jimmy Smith was going to be the Joe Rogan replacement. Yeah. Not the fact that they look the same, but if you're a big Bellator fan, you watch a lot of Jimmy Smith. Kind of did the same job, but he broke things down in a little bit more depth.
Yeah.
And JHK says, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he's in it for the entertainment value, which is great. I mean, now that we're going to ESPN, the thing is, he's only doing the pay-per-views, which he did with Fox. I know there were a lot of articles that were written about Joe Rogan only doing pay-per-view cards. That's what he did anyway. But, yeah, it's more for the money than anything.
Just keep on talking to Alex Jones every other week. You'll make enough money.
Yeah, I mean, over 6 million people watching that. We're in the wrong business right now.
Craig and I are just going to go off on conspiracies later. We got to rack them views up.
Yeah, we got a lot of time to fill before our next fight. So let's have a look at the card. So your next one coming up, you got... What's his nickname at this point?
Nightmare.
Was it Lionheart at one point?
No, it was never Lionheart. It was something Heart. I don't think it was Lionheart, though. Maybe it was.
I thought it was Lionheart.
Very well could be. Diego Nightmare Sanchez. He was the dream at one point. I do know that. MMA Conspiracies podcast. You know what?
I can't talk about those because I'm in the MMA JA, but I've got some.
Conspiracies? Oh, I'll talk about them. The rankings, I think the UFC has a bigger part to play than they let on. What else do I think?
Well, I mean, that's just... That I don't even think that's conspiracy.
Yeah, no, that's not against.
Because when you look, and it was interesting with, and listen, Ben Askren doing an interview.
Get ready for Robbie Lawler. Don't talk to Megan O'Leary.
Give credit where credit's due. MMA on Point had a video this week. It was about 8 things that MMA fans will miss when they're gone. Number 1 was Dana White. Listen, I get it. Like, you can either love or you can hate Dana White.
Goof.
From personal experience as a fan, last year going to UFC 220, I was walking through Quincy Market and I saw Joe Rogan with, a group of friends. We were all there, went down for the fights.
Was that Joe Rogan or Dana White?
We saw Dana White. Did I say Joe Rogan?
You did.
I meant to say Dana
Get
White.
your life together.
So we saw Dana White, went over, said hi, shook his hand. He asked us where we were from. He asked us all about the fights, and we all get to take pictures with him. He couldn't have been a nicer guy, seriously. I know he takes a lot of flack based on possibly, political stance, this and that. I don't care. The guy himself is a nice guy to the fans.
Easy, Craig. Listen. Hey,
that's what you need.
We've all had a Red Bull. But...
You need a guy that cares about the sport, and that's a good thing. And then the point in the video that I disagreed with, they said, well, they could go with a figurehead that doesn't care about the sport, that's in it for the money. They, you could point to like a Gary Bettman, a Roger Goodell, an Adam Silver.
Yeah.
Adam Silver does care about the sport, though.
Oh, he loves the sport.
But it's not like that because it's a privately owned company. I know WME, IMG, they probably want to have somebody as a figurehead that would care more about the sport. You don't have to worry about fighter unions. So, hey, no. I
like Red Bull.
I had coffee, all right? I didn't have Red Bull.
I pump that stuff through my veins.
Anyway, you gotta have somebody that cares. The word on the street a long time ago was maybe Chael Sonnen steps in.
Yeah, but that was never like a concrete rumor.
And now he's with ESPN. He's involved heavily with Bellator, so I don't think it'll happen anytime soon. Plus, Coker's not going anywhere. And I don't think Dana White is either.
Tito should not step in.
Listen, Tito Ortiz is going to do his thing with Oscar De La Hoya. If they're going to have any more MMA, it's going to be Tito and Oscar. And that's going to be just a shit show. That's all it's going to be.
I don't think that there's ever going to be a second Oscar De La Hoya MMA card.
I hope not. So yeah, Dana White, that was the number 1 thing. The other thing, one of the big things was having so many cards. Listen, don't limit the amount of cards. Don't complain that there's too much MMA. It takes up every weekend for me about 6 to 7, well, it takes about 8 to 9 hours on a weekend to get ready for these shows. But listen, I effing love doing these shows, and I'm not going to give it up. So yeah, the more MMA, the merrier. And if there's a weekend where there's no Bellator or UFC, I get to spend time doing other stuff, but I'm probably going to be covering other MMA, so it's great that we have so many cards, and people shouldn't complain about that. What was the other big one? Oh, fun fights. That was something. People complain about fun fights all the time. Fun fights have been happening since the dawn of time. You look at, what was it, Inoki.
Craig, you're fired up over something that no one brought up.
You look at it with Ali and Inoki, the book by Josh Gross. There's been fun fights happening for a long time. No, but people do complain, and this is the conspiracy thing, too. People complain about, Conor McGregor fighting Khabib. What else? What are fun fights people complain about? They happen all the time.
This, Craig. Brock Lesnar, DC.
Brock Lesnar, DC. If they didn't happen, and you had strictly going on rankings, I can complain about that, too. But it would just suck if we didn't have fun fights. Fun fights are fun.
Yeah, but fun fights are going to get made even if you do follow the rankings. There's still going to be fun fights. The best guys rise to the top, and if the best fight the best, it's always going to be fun. So I don't really see the problem in that.
So you're saying, like, basically the...
Tony Ferguson versus Khabib 2 years ago? Yeah, it would have been nice, Craig.
So you're saying, like, the cream will rise to the top? I've been holding on to that for the longest time.
Not the best time to use it either, but...
Listen. I've been holding... Listen, I've even got, like, a Macho Man Randy Savage, like, toy sitting
This podcast has gone off the rails.
Ben Askren doing the walk.
Another fun fact, Megan O'Leary changed outfits between when she was talking to... Or when she was walking into oncoming traffic between talking to Ben Askren. So that's dedication to the craft. Also, this is the one thing that worries me about Ben Askren being in the UFC all of a sudden. The amount of press that he's done in the past 2 or 3 weeks, the amount of media obligations, his focus might I'm not saying he won't be completely focused on the fight, but he's got other things going on outside of just training for Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler cares about one thing, and that's putting Ben Askren to sleep.
I disagree with you because before a fight, usually a week or two, most of the bigger fighters do a whole press tour anyway.
He's done noticeably more than Robbie Lawler.
You're not going to get anything significant done in the last 2 weeks of a camp before a fight.
No, but your mental focus for the fight could be off.
It's definitely going to be right on. Him and Tyron Woodley both have the same focus. They both want the title. Woodley's going to move up to 185.
Woodley's been used to it before, though. Askren never has been. Bellator,
Joe Rogan pursing his lips, going full weirdo.
I like how Jeff Nowitzki was sitting next to those girls, and then they said something and he got up and left. So Jeff might have struck out. Our thoughts and prayers are with Jeff Nowitzki.
Nah, he's normally behind the... Normally sits pretty close by there.
He was talking to that young lady right there. And
Could be his daughters, Matt.
No, don't
He has like 3 daughters.
Maybe he does. Robbie Lawler hates talking. I know he does. I'm just saying, this is the first time he fought in the UFC. Octagon jitters are a real thing.
Greg Jackson.
Diego Sanchez has always looked uncomfortably stiff.
Looks like he's got more tattoos.
He does. He's got that one behind his ear. That's a real...
I don't know what to say.
Listen, I talk shit about Diego Sanchez. He would beat my ass. Don't get me wrong.
You know what? Do what you love. It's good to see him still doing what he enjoys.
But at a certain point, like in baseball, you can play until you're 45 because you're really at no,
Mickey Gall's not like a super... It's like having Ryan Hall fighting BJ Penn.
I agree completely. I just mean it's still unnecessary damage that an older guy doesn't have to take anymore.
The only thing for me with Mickey Gall is the fact that he looks shred city this week.
Oh, yeah,
and that's just not a fun Mickey Gall to take on. Because Mickey Gall, not that he has a dad bod because he's a young guy, but he's looking super muscular, and his shadow boxing is very quick. And if shadow boxing has taught me anything, the winner of a fight is going to be the best shadow boxer.
No, but he's training with Cowboy and all them down at that BMF ranch, and that's... I don't even know if you consider it kind of an MMA gym at this point, but it's just like Cowboy and his friends who are all really good at MMA go and train, so it's definitely kind of a cool thing that they got going on.
And a lot of tobacco to be had,
A lot of chewing tobacco, a lot of Budweiser. Listen, they just have a good time.
Straight up cigarettes. Just cigarettes.
It really is like a cult. But they bring some amazing fighters to that cult, so you keep on doing what you're doing.
Cigarettes.
Craig brings up this all the time, the fact that Joe Schilling is super addicted to cigarettes, but he's also a world-class athlete. Like, just can't get over the fact that someone who's as good of an athlete as Joe Schilling also loves nicotine.
Yeah, you think you try, like, the gum or a patch, but...
Joe Schilling's a real badass.
Cigarettes.
And, you hate him for the cigarettes, but you also think, you know what? It's kind of badass.
Yeah, it was interesting speaking with Will Morris the night before he fought Joe Schilling. What was that? Bellator
15.
No, 15 before that. It was like 209.
Either way, he lost that fight real bad.
Yeah, Will Morris was coming up from lightweight to fight Joe Schilling at 185, which is kind of like his natural weight class. Yeah. And, he looked good physically at 185, but he had that cut in his hairline, and that kind of screwed the fight for Will Morris. So, yeah, it was a tough one. Joe Schilling seems to be intent on continuing with his MMA career, and... it's a good thing if Joe Schilling and you can train with all these guys in MMA at the BMF.
Yair Rodriguez, Mickey Gall.
Yair Rodriguez, yes,
he doesn't spend all of his time there, but still, he's around. Cowboy, of course, he's good at everything. It's a really good thing they got going on.
Okay, so it was 210.
Thank you.
I couldn't remember if it was 209 or 210. Because 211, which one was the one that was in Israel? Was it 209 or 210?
Going too deep.
No, I'm not going that deep because I was live at NEF. The night of, and then went back and watched it. 209, okay. So I had them mixed up in my head.
It's a really good main card, though.
Yeah, super enthusiastic that it's a really
Anthony
good main
Smith
card.
looks like a regular person when he has a shirt on, and then he looks like a real fighter. Those tattoos severely limit your career options.
See, I don't know. It's 20...
If
I
you
almost
look
said
like
2016.
Anthony Smith, and you've got cauliflower ears and tattoos all over, and you're 7 feet tall and jacked...
He's not that tall. He's 6'4".
He's a big guy.
Both these guys are billed as the same height. John Jones has at least 2 inches of height on him.
Yeah, he does.
He
could work at a gas station. You wouldn't spend a lot of time there, though. You just get in, get your snacks, and leave.
Marty from Nebraska with the face paint.
I'm a problem.
Who do you think would win a fight of face paint, Paul Craig or Marty from Nebraska.
I hope you never ask that question again, because Marty from Nebraska. Actually, Chris Cyborg, when she used to do like the full Brazilian flag, that was cool.
Tyron Woodley looking good.
He does. That weight cut must be awful.
Yeah, I mean, he does a good job of it every time.
But anytime you have a raspy voice due to the fact that you don't have any water in your body, I don't like...
Face paint should be mandatory.
I mean...
So you'd have, what, like 90% of them with the American flag?
Yeah, the American, Brazilian,
how are you going to get all those
Canadian,
stars in there?
I think for some people it's kind of cool, but...
Yeah, like a Canadian flag would look silly as all hell.
I mean, it could look kind of
maple leaf on your nose.
Yeah, as I think about it now. I prefer, like, just let Rory McDonald wear, like, a suit and just do the whole American or Canadian Psycho thing, and then you'd be good. GSP, he doesn't need no face paint. Let him wear the gi.
Well, I mean, he's retired now.
I know, but, like, that's the problem. And there was an article I read, and it was about, would GSP be a big star in, like, the trash talk or super fight era? And a lot of people didn't think he would, because... Like, the fact that GSP was such a big star was almost like the mystique around GSP. Like, he wore the gi. It was weird. He trained at, like, 7 different super gyms. He had all these amazing trainers. And it was more about performances. It was less about what he said. And would that translate well to modern MMA? It was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you look at GSP, he didn't need to trash talk. That was the thing. Like, the worst thing he ever said was I was not impressed by your performance. But c'est d'accord avec Georges St-Pierre.
Yeah. Phenomenal.
Tout d'accord. Getting a look at Jeremy Stevens making the walk.
Oh, go.
We get into it a bit on Thursday, but the criticisms of Jeremy Stevens, guy, give him a break.
Oh, nous ne peut parler le français. But yeah,
100%.
I think if anything, it makes you better the fact that you're willing to speak out about that kind of stuff. Because like a lesser person wouldn't want to, and I don't want to get into whole like
not lesser, but
philosophical debate over whether or not
See, the thing is, people get mad about hitting after the bell. People get mad about this and that. It's kind of a tough debate. Really yeah, I know, but like the referee. It's a bit of him. It's a bit of the fighter.
I'm talking about Jeremy Stevens' mental health. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. About? People are getting mad about Jeremy Stevens in the comments about Jeremy Stevens' mental health, saying, "Oh, he's a guy that hits after the bell, so I don't care what he says."
I've never seen him hit someone after the bell.
Look into the comment sections, Matt. People are rational in the comment sections.
Yeah, but you keep on going off Reddit. Most people on Reddit MMA don't really watch MMA. They just go on Reddit.
All right, tell that to people on Reddit MMA. Matt's going to get ripped apart.
I don't care.
There's going to be some OSPs in there, Matt.
I don't know if you've noticed. I don't care. Yeah, so is Ariel the biggest? Yes, he is. And I think that's a really big reason behind why Zabit's so popular, is that Joe Rogan saw him fight once on a pay-per-view, and he just doesn't stop talking about him. And the fact, but if you can beat an M-class Kyle Bochniak, I'm not impressed. That's all.
How many Sulev stretches have we seen in the UFC?
3.
As many as I can count on this hand. How many were in the same card?
2.
There were 2. And Zabit, Johnny Walker's the weirdest guy in the world.
He did a Sulev stretch to a guy who doesn't have a ground game.
Yeah, exactly. Like, a Brandon Davis win isn't huge. I mean, Brandon Davis is going to train with guys like Jason Knight and, I don't know, Chase Sherman. I'm just looking at the people from Mississippi and D'Iberville in particular. But
I mean, yes, if Zabit wins tonight convincingly, I'll be on that hype train.
Yeah.
Until that happens, I'm not.
No, I mean, it was the same thing with Volkanovski. Like, I was on board, but for him to get a win over Chad Mendes, okay, now I'm convinced.
I was a little bit more on board with the Volkanovski one because I hold Jeremy Kennedy in pretty high regard, and what he did to Darren Elkins was borderline criminal. Yeah,
like you look at Jeremy Kennedy post Volkanovski and post UFC, which isn't fair, but him post Volkanovski, he's looked great.
Well, even before, he was undefeated before he fought Volkanovski. Yeah. Like, Jeremy Kennedy's a world-class fighter. Same thing with Darren Elkins was on like a 7-fight win streak when he fought Volkanovski, and he beat both those guys. Well, he stopped.
That was one of the best cards of 2018.
Which one?
The Boise, Idaho card. Like, that was such a good card. Even, like, JDS Blagoy wasn't good, but if you go back through and look at it, there were a lot of good fights on that card.
Yeah, just... Zabit hasn't even beaten a guy the level of Jeremy Kennedy.
UFC 235 prelims hope to start a little after 8 Eastern on ESPN. Good to see you there.
I see Jeremy Kennedy starting with 1. 1 is... Okay.
Well, the thing about... Just a second. Yep. The thing about Jeremy Kennedy that was weird is the fact that he was with Brave, and then he was going to sign with PFL, and then he had a fight announced with a fighting organization out of BC, which, you know, he's from British Columbia, but Like, he was going to be the main event of that, and people were kind of wondering, what's his contract status like? Like, can you, not transferable.
Is it open-ended?
Yeah, is it open-ended? Can you fight for different organizations? Like, Scott Askham with KSW, he's supposed to fight for the middleweight belt, but he's also going to fight with RCC against Shlemenko, and then he had to pull out due to injury, and they're non-exclusive contracts. I could see Jeremy Kennedy signing with one. I think the wrestle-heavy offense would be, it could be appealing.
Yeah,
but I think he could make moves for sure.
My only problem with one is everyone's all hyped up. They've got a lot of big signings and whatnot, but like one is hemorrhaging money because they had to get all these guys.
But they had a lot of money to spend.
I know,
too.
But they're in the negative $100 million already this year.
Hey, we had a conversation about this, and it applies somewhat as an anecdote. But the AAF, the brand new football league that's in the United States, they had a big first weekend, big opening weekend, tons of highlights on YouTube. Millions and millions of views on their highlight packages and condensed games. And it looked pretty cool. Like, I really liked it. CBS was covering them. And then it comes out that they had to be bailed out by $250 million or they'd have to fold the league after the first week. Won championships in a spot where they got a lot of VC money. They brought Misha Tate on board. Rich Franklin's been there forever. There's a lot of marketable names that are already there, like Bibiano Fernandez. We've seen it.
My problem, though, is Eddie Alvarez marketable in an Asian market?
I mean, we'd have to figure out in the comments. I think he is.
He's not. He doesn't really talk. He's got a fun style, but that's about it. Like, I don't know if he can be the same level of star over there that he was in North America. That's all.
I think he can be.
I think Sage Northcutt for sure can be, and so can Demetrius Johnson.
I think whenever you have a fighter that's, Bellator champ, UFC champ, moving over there, it's going to be easy to market him. And I think guys like Sage is going to be a big draw. Demetrius Johnson, especially with the big esports announcement that they're going to put, like you said, tons of money, $50 million into it.
Exactly. Like, all they do is spend money and they're not making any right now. Like, I'm excited for one, and I think if they can kind of continue down this, is only known to people who watch UFC. Yeah, I think a big part of it is that.
Alvarez is only known to people who watch UFC. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I'm going to pull up the card, a reminder that if you're in Canada and you're following along, you're going to have to watch the prelims on TSN. So I'm going to pull up our TSN here.
But yeah, people like to kind of rag on the UFC nowadays, and they're very high on ONE FC, but the UFC's made $400 million so far, and ONE FC's lost $100 million.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how one makes out, and hopefully, I mean, they're legit going for broke right now.
Exactly.
Like, signing everyone they can.
But is signing Vitor for $1 million a fight really good idea?
I hope it is.
You think you want to see TRT Vitor back?
Yeah, why wouldn't I?
Vitor's looking jacked too.
Why would I not want to see that, man?
I don't know.
Good question. Is that true? I don't know how much they're signing.
No,
Vitor
they're paying him a lot of money to fight.
Yeah, Matt just throwing out erroneous statements that aren't proven by fact or reason. But that's why Matt's not a member of the MMAJA.
Oh, why? Because I don't want to have what I say censored. But that's a conversation for another day, as the prelims look to start.
Yeah, we got the pre-show going on right now.
They fought way back in the day as a title eliminator. And Chael beat Bisping, but a lot of people thought Bisping won.
It's neat to see, not Weasel, but it's neat to see how Chael got himself into this mix. He kind of weaseled his way.
He kind of did. It is kind of weird to see him do the fact that, like, he does the same thing for Bellator that he does for UFC. Like, he just kind of flip-flops between the two.
I like the way they have the desk set up with Bellator.
I do, but I don't. I would like it if they had a little bit more consistency between the people who are on the desk. Like, they'll switch, like, you'll be covering the actual fight, then they'll be up at the desk, and then, like, they never have kind of a level of consistency anymore.
All right, so now we do have the prelims on TSN is where we're watching it. All right, there you go. Take that off my lap. WhitG87 asks on YouTube, where is the fights? You can find them on, well, yeah, they're in Las Vegas. If you're following along, you can find them on ESPN+. That's what they're showing us right now. We're watching on TSN in Canada. That's where they're currently live. And if you look on the card, our next fight is Diego Sanchez taking on Mickey Gall as Matt gives everyone a show on the live show.
None of you want to see this.
I don't know. I mean, this could be intel for the possible fight between Matt and commenters. I'm currently sporting the brand new look from Fight Night Picks.
This is from RW Code. It was too much money. We'll leave it at that.
Matt trying to look fancy for a fight. No ESPN in the Netherlands. Ooh.
That's unfortunate.
Let me try and see UFC 235 watch. That's a good question. I can try and figure it out. Let's see. They're letting me look at the card for Netherlands, but it doesn't say where I can watch it. We'll try and help you. Oh, here we go. Usually they do a pretty good job here. Let me try and help you out. Europe. Where will they have this? Ooh, and Netherlands. ESPN Netherlands is apparently where you can find the fights if you're following along.
Crazy out here doing the real work.
Yeah, so ESPN Netherlands is where you're going to be able to find this. If you're in Holland and you're looking to watch, I'm from Amsterdam, no ESPN here. That's what it says according to MMA Mania. They also said that the prelims were going to be on what, TSN last week?
Yeah,
they weren't. They were on Fight Pass in Canada. So I'm just taking them for their word, and that's what they told me. I'm sorry. I'm trying to help you out. We're getting ready. We're getting that preview of Diego Sanchez just throwing hands, because that's how Diego Sanchez fights. All heart. Lion heart. Yeah. Let's try and check out the reaction on Twitter right now. I'm going to zoom through and see what we got going on. We've had a little bit of a lull here. Nolan King says, super stoked for these next 4 prelims. Who do you guys think is taking the ESPN curtain jerker?
Diego Sanchez.
I'm going with Mickey Gall. Gall's got 60% of 160 votes right now.
No, Gall's going to win.
Other than that, predictions from Ryan Fortune, who's with Fansided MMA. He's saying Ciphers, Chasson, Shabazian, Gall, Stamen, Walker, Magomedsharipov, Garbrandt, Zhang, Askren, Woodley, Jones.
Those are all pretty safe picks.
Those are all pretty safe but good
They're
picks.
still showing college basketball.
Yeah, watching college basketball in the States. I know they showed that on the broadcast. Now we're getting into the broadcast.
Is Duke going to win March Madness?
It's fake, but thank you, sir. I'm sorry. As far as who we have, Jones or Smith, we're taking Jones.
I'm cheering for Smith with all of my heart, by the way, but I do think John... Here's the thing. In a lot of fights, and you can go back on the biggest kind of upsets in history, like, you can find things that the guy who sprung the upset does better than the actual champion. Like, even if we go back to Michael Bisping versus Luke Rockhold, like, you thought, well... I mean, if Bisping can get him tired, bring him into late rounds, Bisping doesn't really get tired. He has the cardio advantage. In this fight, there's not a single thing Anthony Smith does better than John Jones. Straight up skill for skill. He's good in boxing. He's good at everything.
The only stat, if you're a stat person...
But stats don't matter when it comes to John Jones.
Give me an effing break. The only stat that Anthony Smith has over John Jones as far as their UFC fights go is John Jones averages 0.57 submissions per 15 minutes. Compared to Smith's 1 per 15 minutes. So you know, statistically, Anthony Smith is going for more submissions than John Jones does. But if you look at John Jones, whether it's wins by decision or by finish, he gets them all. He's able to do everything very, very well. The only way I could see Anthony Smith getting a win is, you know, a lucky punch, or if he's able to throw a blitz and beat John Jones with his boxing. I just don't see that happening. Yeah. As far as me analyzing and trying to figure out how this fight's going to play out, if John Jones is able to pressure and get Anthony Smith up against the cage, we saw Anthony Smith against Rashad Evans, against Shogun, against Volkan Oezdemir. His game against the cage is good, but if his back's up against the cage, it's not. Maybe he's able to land a good elbow. We know those are good.
I think he just takes him down pretty quick, ground and pound TKO. It's going to look a lot like the Gustafsson fight, I think. But yeah. I don't think it's going to last as long.
So if we go through and we make our picks one more time before the next fight happens, I'm going to go through first. I'll let you go second. I've got Gall, I've got Stamen, I've got Walker, I've got Stevens, I've got Munoz, Zhang, Lawler, Woodley, and then Jones.
Oh yeah, so if you just look up, I've got Gall, but the more I think about it, Diego Sanchez does well against straight BJJ guys. Like, he's good on top, he's kind of a heavy pressure. But no, I've got Gall. I've got, as Craig takes the card away, I've got Gall. I've got Perez, Walker, Stevens, Garbrandt, Torres, Lawler, Kamaru Usman, and John Jones.
Yes, I mean, those are the picks that we've got so far. I know we disagree with everyone that's commenting on YouTube for the most part, but again, Thanks so much for joining us on YouTube. I'm going to switch over here for just a second. If you follow along down below, you can find us on sportsbooth.tv. We're live and in real time. We're having a lot of fun reading the comments, but we're available on both platforms. So give us a thumbs up, give us a sub, and Witchy87 says Stevens won't win. I wish, but he won't.
I think he's going to invest in leg kicks early. It's going to pay dividend by the end of the fight, and he's going to knock Zabit out by the end. Zabit has cardio issues. Jeremy Stevens has some of the best cardio in the UFC, and he carries his power late into a fight.
For me to pick Stevens to win, yeah, if you go back and you look at the win that he had over Gilbert Melendez, he was able to throw a ton of leg kicks and hurt Melendez's leg. And then if you look at his output from round number 2 to round number 3, he almost doubled his strikes, landed and attempted. So you can see that he has a gas tank. And a good point that Matt brought up is the fact that a lot of power punchers don't have gas tanks like that. As we see Misha Cirkunov with the Canadian flag, usually it's a Latvian flag that they show. So
I thought it was usually born in Latvia fighting out of Canada.
It's usually born in Latvia fighting out of Canada, but you see a Latvian flag. So kind of neat that he has a Canadian flag there. I'm pretty sure in Moncton he had the Latvian, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't remember. I was there. Congrats, Craig. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but we're from Canada, and Craig did cover UFC Moncton. If you're new to the podcast, you might not have heard him say.
But we also cover a lot of different live events. We're here typically every weekend covering the fights. The next live event that we're going to be at in person is NEF 38 Stormborn from Portland, Maine. It's interesting to note too, we've actually got a card in New Brunswick that same night from Moncton. So you've got D Logue's going to be competing for a title there. There's all sorts of great stuff on that one as well. We weren't sure if we had a bit of a lull there because they stayed on the card coming up for quite a while. It's good to see Cody back. It is for sure.
If he loses this one by stoppage, especially, it's going to be.
It's a tough spot, especially losing 3 in a row at 135. It's not a spot that you want to be in.
And it's a talent-rich division, too.
It is right now. There's a lot of movers and shakers at 135 for sure.
I think Marlon's going to be champ sooner rather than later.
You think Maryland's going to be champ?
I do. I just don't know if the durability... And this is nothing... And I'm not just saying it based on his last fight. TJ's a guy who gets dropped. He got knocked out by John Dodson. He got...
A long time ago.
I know, but still, like, he's a guy who suffered knockout defeats. He's a guy who's got dropped in the past. Marlon's impossible to... Like, he's really hard to take down. He has absurd power on his feet. And he's good at everything. Like, we saw him basically knock out and choke out Rafael Assunção in his last fight, which is an insane task.
Yeah.
And I mean, Assunção's 1-1 with TJ. He's 2 close decisions.
And he had beaten Marlon in the other fight,
And he beat Marlon in the other fight. So for Marlon to basically make that much of an improvement in a year and a half, it's absurd. And the way, I mean, he knocked out Jimmy Rivera, who was on a 21-fight win streak with a switch kick to the head in 30 seconds.
And if we go with a question on YouTube, thoughts on Robbie Lawler, it's tough. So I've been throwing this one around all week, and I made my pick on Thursday, and I've kind of stuck with it. You look at a guy like Ben Askren who, okay, boring wins, some of them. He's riding around. Like, you also look at the fight. It was the Andrei Korshkov fight where he had that crazy move off the fence, the takedown to get into the submission. He's a good grappler. He's a super, super wrestler. Robbie Lawler in his last fight against RDA was really disappointing. I mean, he didn't look good, and RDA was a way smaller fighter, considering that Robbie Lawler's fought at 185 for a chunk of his career, too. So it was disappointing to see that, but I think the time off for Lawler is really going to pay dividend.
He tore his ACL in his last fight, too,
which
tough.
Kind of hurts the lateral movement rather than the forward.
Well, it's going to hurt your takedown defense, though.
It is, too. He's not heavy ground and pound. He's not. And I just see Robbie Lawler when Ben Askren shoots him for a takedown. And listen, I can see it from both sides. And I'm not rock solid in my pick that Robbie Lawler is going to get the win. But at the same time, I can just see Lawler, he hits so damn hard. I could see him getting a finish over Askren. They've both been out for a long time. Dutch asks, where can I watch the prelims? If you're in Canada, you can find them on TSN. If you're in the States, you can find them on ESPN, on regular ESPN. And if you're around the world, check out an article from MMA Mania. They kind of listed it out. For the Netherlands, they didn't do a great job to say, because they said ESPN Netherlands, but apparently you can't watch it there, so keep that one in mind. And we're getting ready for Diego Sanchez and Mickey Gall.
And I see it coming here, just because it's on the ground doesn't mean it's a boring fight. You're 100% right, but also some guys who are extremely ground-oriented can have boring styles. Like, it's nothing against Ben Askren, it's just he doesn't have the most fan-friendly style.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair point too. As we get the walk in for Mickey Gall,
Trying to think of like Khabib takes it to the ground, but he mauls people. Like he puts a hurting on them once he gets them down. Damian Maia, same thing. Like he's not just looking to hold position; he's looking to either ground and pound or choke you unconscious. Ben Askren's very happy to just kind of. It's a very technical game. He's very technically sound. It's very takedown, get position. Kind of what we've seen. And this is not a great comparison, but kind of what we've seen Chasson do in the later half of his career. He just go for the takedown, look for kind of positional awareness. But
Ben is a boring fighter. Like, yeah, I mean, if you have seen his fights and won,
yeah,
and you don't enjoy a wrestle-heavy offense, then he could be a boring fighter for sure. I'm in it for the long haul. I mean, I'm fine with it. The fights I really don't like are like and you'll see this from wrestlers, but like a Jake Shields where he'll go from half guard to full guard to half guard to full guard, and he'll just keep doing that.
Yeah, it's kind of a cycle
for the entire fight. But yeah, we're getting the particulars on Mickey Gall. Second shortest average fight time among UFC welterweights at 5 minutes and 10
small
seconds.
Sample size, but
finished all 5 wins by submission. Discovered on Dana White looking for a fight, which is something you don't see very often because those episodes are few and far between at this point.
Yeah, it takes them 6 years to film one.
Jones Khabib, those ground games are great. Brock, listen, as negative as people will be about Brock Lesnar, and yeah, he did cheat. The fight against Mark Hunt was a lot of fun to watch if you're a Brock Lesnar fan.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of them, and he was also full of steroids, so it doesn't really count. But that's kind of the weird thing. Yeah, like GSP, when he fought Carlos Condit, people like to bring up the fact, like, oh, GSP was boring. Have you never seen George St. Pierre fight? He had two boring... The Jake Shields fight wasn't great, I'll give you that one. The Nick Diaz fight wasn't great, but it's just he's so much better than most guys, it looks kind of boring. If you watch the Carlos Condit fight, that's one of the best fights of all time. I highly recommend you go back and watch it.
Yeah, it was definitely a good one for sure. Who wins the main event of UFC 235? Be sure to head into the cards here on YouTube.
You can say they all cheat, but with USADA, it's very hard to.
Little Johnny says, where can I watch the prelims? You can find alternate sources if you wish. Again, in Canada, you can find them on TSN.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, it's crazy that Diego Sanchez won the Ultimate Fighter Season 1 at middleweight.
Against Kenny Florian.
And then he competed all across the board.
He's fought at middleweight, welterweight, lightweight, and featherweight.
Yeah, featherweight's nuts. So if you're looking for the UFC, TSN in Canada, ESPN in the States. Apart from that, it's really up to you. And again, we're live on sportsbooth.tv, so if you want to follow along, you can find a link below. If you're following along on YouTube, it's in real time there. There's a bit of a delay if you're following on YouTube. About 10 to 15 seconds. There's not a whole lot we can do there. What do you think about Conor? He wants Khabib again.
Don't. It's the same mistake that they did when they just rushed Cody Garbrandt into another rematch with TJ Dillashaw. If you're not good enough to beat the guy the first time, you got to give a guy time to improve, especially if it's a one-sided fight the first time. You need a year, 2 years, maybe even 3 years for the guy to improve on the skills that he was lacking in the first fight. I've never tried Proper 12, but yeah, Khabib's so much further ahead. I think there's more interesting fights in the division. You can say, like, if Max ends up fighting Khabib, that's an amazing fight. Dustin Poirier, he's got a very underrated ground game. Tony Ferguson, of course, that's the fight that everyone wants to see. Just can Khabib keep up with the pace of Tony Ferguson? And can Tony Ferguson, him and Eddie Bravo have something weird planned up to fight Khabib, so I would like to see that fight.
I'd like to see Conor fight either Cowboy or, like I said, Tony Ferguson. But again, Tony Ferguson's ground game is so much more advanced.
Tony's a problem for Conor if they fight.
And Conor on the feet would be able to get the win, I think.
I think he could, but Tony's the type of guy, like, you drop him, and he's like Michael Bisping. He just wakes up from the dead, and then he gets way better all of a sudden. And if you drop Tony Ferguson and go down to ground and pound him, he's going to put you in a triangle. And that's the problem. Conor McGregor's an amazing fighter. I know we give him a hard time just because it's easy to, but if you take him for what he is skill-wise, he's a phenomenal fighter. And just Tony Ferguson counters him almost perfectly. Tony Ferguson, if he wants to, can just take the fight to the ground. Conor does have cardio issues, or at least pacing issues if you don't want to blame it all on his cardio. And those are things that Tony Ferguson has no problem with. I mean, he can keep up a ridiculous volume, a historic volume, really, over 5 rounds.
Yeah, exactly. As we're getting the particulars for Gall and for Sanchez. If Gall's going to get a win here, how is he going to get this one?
Do you think Gall could be like when Gunnar Nelson showed up for fight week in his last fight? They were like, oh, he discovered what weightlifting was, and then he became just a world beater in one fight. That could be the case with Mickey Gall. I mean, on the feet, I know he trains a lot with like Cowboy and Joe Schilling, who are phenomenal strikers in their own right. But So maybe he could catch Diego with something on the feet, drop him, and then choke him out. But I just think, yeah, go for the takedown. It's tough to take Diego Sanchez down, but still. I think this is going to be a really fun fight, actually.
And also, before we get into it, Holloway versus Dustin. I think Holloway's going to get the win, but it's a really hard one. I'm going to have to watch a lot more fight tape on it.
I would side with Holloway, but and I recommend all you guys do, too. Go back and watch Poirier fight Anthony Pettis. Poirier basically Khabib'd Anthony Pettis. It was kind of cool to see, because it's an aspect of his game you don't often get to see. But I'm Dustin Poirier's biggest fan in the world.
All right, so both guys kind of swinging wild. Diego Sanchez is going to win in these exchanges. You see a nice uppercut from him. I mean, his style is just basically brawl.
He's very stiff, though, in the way that he brawls, and I know he's always been that way, and he's had, differing amounts of success throughout his career, but, yeah, he doesn't have a great range of motion. It's kind of odd.
No, for sure, and I mean, later on in your career, it's not going to be great, but the one thing, he can rely on his grappling, too. It's just Mickey Gall is so advanced. Now he's going to be kind of like the trainer guy at BMF. If he's training with all those guys, he's going to be the specialist that you're going to want to test yourself against.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's getting in good in the clinch here. It looks like he's got both underhooks as well.
I don't think so. Max is very difficult to hit. I agree completely. I just think that, if Dustin gets you to the ground, which he is very capable of, he's going to have an advantage over Max. Max could keep it on his feet, hit Dustin 600 times, though, and then beat him. It's an amazing fight.
Mickey Gall throwing the kitchen sink at Diego Sanchez, who's on the back foot, really loaded up on that left hand, but it didn't really land to Gall's body there. Sanchez has got to be one of the most intense people in all of MMA.
The only thing that worries me about Mickey Gall is cardio-wise, you're probably not going to outwork Diego Sanchez.
No, Diego Sanchez throws everything into all his punches, but he still keeps moving forward.
Mickey Gall looks huge compared to Diego Sanchez.
Mickey Gall's going to look big at welterweight against anybody.
I mean, Randy Brown looked bigger than him, though.
The Rude Boy.
Rude Boy.
Yeah, Mickey Gall really mixing it up, too, with the combination of punches and kicks.
I'll be honest, though, Mickey Gall's striking doesn't look phenomenal.
No, it doesn't look great. He's kind of controlling distance here, and he's not really taking on a high-level guy in Diego Sanchez, so he can afford to make some mistakes, as Diego Sanchez looks to now clinch up. We're about 3 minutes remaining in round number 1.
But yeah, I would love to see... I would like to see Max and Conor run it back, but again, Max is a very hard matchup for Conor nowadays.
Yeah, 155, I think it's a lot more fun of a fight than it would be at 145.
I do too. I just think that, again, it's the pace thing. Max Holloway can hit you 500 times, and it's nothing for him. He doesn't get tired.
Mickey Gall going for a submission here. Kind of interesting that he's pulled onto the ground. Wouldn't really want to be against Sanchez in this position, though.
He's kind of in a weird spot right now. It's head up against the cage, but...
Sanchez kind of in a side control here now. Might be able to get a crucifix, but Gall's kind of turning out of it. Sanchez looking to try and get the back, but now he's just on top. About 2 minutes, closing in on 2 minutes remaining in the first round.
Gall did a good job to get his guard back.
Yeah, getting back up to his feet here against the cage. Grabbing an arm of Diego Sanchez. Sanchez, the good thing for him, he is still striking. That's kind of the best part of his offense. And a nice takedown by really nice Sanchez. The old cow toss.
I don't think that's the technical term for it, but...
Gall trying to grab maybe a guillotine, but I don't think he's really going to get anything out of this.
Look at the flexibility of Mickey Gall's arm.
Surprised his arm didn't straight up break.
He was just chicken winged himself. Oh, he's rolling for a knee. That was actually kind
really
of smart
good scrambles here.
To get on top, but
Diego Sanchez is doing a pretty good job of these.
Yeah, but this is kind of what you expected with Diego. This is going to have to be his game plan. Fight Gall like you fought Craig White.
Yeah, and Craig White, today in Cage Warriors really laid an egg. Didn't work on his wrestling, it seemed like.
At all.
And his striking, he kept going into the clinch. It just wasn't a great fight out of him.
What is poster cards? What?
I'm not overly sure, little Johnny. Not overly sure. We got Cormier Gus behind us. We got Jones and OSP. We got Verdum and Miocic. Then we got a Fight Night Picks poster behind us.
Available on the store, I believe.
The Fight Night Picks one, yeah, you can probably find that there. Just about a minute remaining in round number 1. Mickey Gall on the ground. He could be going for a leg. He could be going for something crazy.
Oh, this position again. Every Diego Sanchez fight, he just ends up...
This happened in the Craig White fight.
Just teabagging somebody.
Hey, you got to assert your dominance somehow.
There's not a more delicate way to put that, unfortunately.
It's just interesting. Diego Sanchez from these positions hasn't gone for really any strikes.
Well, what's he gonna do from here?
I don't know. Hammer fist the life out of him.
No.
Sanchez back into a bit of a side control. I mention this every time. It's interesting that fighters don't go for the knees from a side control position like
because
this.
you don't want to learn. Space if you
you don't want to lose the position that you have.
Then why are you so surprised, people? You just answered your own question.
Going for maybe head and arm is Sanchez.
He's on the wrong side.
Yeah, Gall's not going to let anything up here. This is going to be a tough round to
Diego
score.
won round 1.
Yeah, I get Diego Sanchez up 10-9 in round number 1. Referee Mark Goddard split them up. And, yeah, I mean, are you overly surprised by Diego Sanchez in round number 1?
Not really. I thought if Diego was going to win, he's going to have to do this for 3 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, we got a bit of a lull in the action. Let's
also
check
known in between rounds, not really a lull in the action.
Let's check out today's video sponsor, Spretzabox. This episode's brought to you by Spretzabox. Head on over to the website, spretzabox.com. All you have to do, click to get started. You can either order one of their boxes that has over $100 in value, or maybe you're interested in a single item, like these great socks. So, click on them, add them to your cart, head on over to the checkout, and then all you have to do is enter in the promo code FNP as follows here. You'll save 10% off your first box or your complete first order. That's spretzabox.com. Alright, so we're waiting for the start of round number 2 between Sanchez, Mickey Gall. We both have Sanchez up 10-9. JHK MMA says Sanchez via split decision robbery.
He likes to get those, doesn't he?
Maybe that'll happen.
Who knows?
Listen, if you have a positive bearing in somebody's mind and judge's mind, that's great for you.
I just miss it.
We get started for round number 2 between Diego Sanchez and Mickey Gall. This bout scheduled for 3 5-minute rounds in the welterweight division. When am I going to get my ring announcer gig?
Probably never, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, probably never. Diego Sanchez loading up that right hand. It'd be interesting to see how Mickey Gall adjusts in the second round.
Yeah, it will. I mean, he can't get taken down again. Diego's just going to keep on going for these kind of body lock takedowns.
And he's got the cardio advantage for sure.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
A career cardio king.
As Craig goes for the tongue twister.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one for Mickey Gall. Because he's starting to absorb strikes on the feet.
But not really. He's not eating anything of substance.
No, but he's not really winning in any of the scrambles. Nice knee by Sanchez, but Gall is throwing well.
With a good left hand. Yes, Mickey looks exhausted already.
Yeah, I mean, we see Mickey
with
good
left hand, though.
Great physique, but yeah, he looks kind of tired. But Diego Sanchez,
he also looks very tired.
Yeah, Diego Sanchez looks worse for wear at this point.
I don't know.
I don't know if I want to see a third round in this fight.
What's the term? Exhaustion makes a... What is it? A coward of all men? Is that what it is?
I don't know, man.
Either way, if you don't have cardio, you don't have anything.
Ooh, and a knee!
Do you drop him?
Ooh, Diego Sanchez!
If you get knocked out by Diego Sanchez, we can have a word.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Mickey Gall's hurt.
He's out.
Diego hit him!
And you see the unbiased from Craig.
Like, well, I picked Gall to win, but this is just hard to watch. Like, straight up. Diego Sanchez throwing...
Gall's getting back up to his feet, though.
The long of his forearm on Mickey Gall's body. Now he goes for the back. Gall back up, standing. 3 minutes remaining in round number 2. I mean, this is just a shocker. I didn't see this coming at all.
Really?
Yes, I didn't see this one bit.
Oh. I thought the odds were really off on this fight. I thought Gall would win, but I didn't think he should be nearly the size of an advantage or sizable favorite that he was.
I mean, I'm just surprised. Sanchez is kind of just running a train on Mickey Gall at this point.
That's an aggressive term to use.
Matt pulls out his phone and looks completely disinterested in the fight.
Again, you're going off like this is some crazy thing.
I mean, Sanchez...
One guy's fought 1,000 times in the UFC. The other guy's 5-1.
I'm very surprised by this. Gall just trying to go for whatever he can at this point. We're closing in on 2 minutes remaining in round number 2. I mean, try and walk us through this. If you're Mickey Gall, like, what does he need? A finish at this point?
Well, of course.
Don't
ask me questions to know the answers to.
No, but seriously, like, what can he do to try and win this round?
Probably hit him hard in the head and try to make him fall down. You got to get back up to your feet. You can't just stay here. I know he got hurt bad by that knee, but you can't just be happy to lay on your back for the whole fight.
Yeah, and I mean, Sanchez in top position continues in this position. Sanchez is really
Invest
surprising.
in a treadmill maybe for the next training camp?
I don't know. I mean, Sanchez is really surprising me so far. They're showing the takedowns 5 of 6 for Diego. I mean, who's been in the UFC for the longest time.
For as long as I've been alive.
No, not really, but still. Diego Sanchez doing the old throw my leg over you and just strike.
They might stop it, actually, if Gall can't get up to his feet.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Goddard all over this. Diego Sanchez goes from leg over to top mount.
I don't know why Gall doesn't just roll to his back, roll to his stomach. Sanchez probably won't get the submission on you. Try to recover half guard.
And for Mickey Gall, like, okay, so you lose this fight. Like, what's next for Mickey Gall in the UFC?
NEF, another organization. This is the problem with that Dana White Tuesday Night Contenders. Everyone who they take from there isn't ready yet. Like, sign them to development deals.
Ricardo Ramos was.
Yeah, okay, 1 of 17 doesn't really count.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really seen a whole lot.
Yeah, they're going to stop the fight right here.
Yeah, I mean, there he's, back flat. Look at that. Diego Sanchez. Ooh-wee.
I swear if he calls out someone actually good, though, I'm going to be a little pissed off. When he did that whole thing on Twitter where he started calling out Cowboy and he was like, you offended my family. I'm sorry. Cowboy Cerrone would kick Diego Sanchez's head to New Mexico.
Yeah.
Like, you can keep on giving Sanchez fun fights, but I don't want to see him fight like Vicente Luque.
I mean, if we have a look at it and you know, so Diego Sanchez now 29-11. You look at his last fight, so he beat Craig White. He was coming on a 2-fight losing streak. Quinta, Matt Brown. Before that, a win over Martian Held, a loss to Joe Lozon 2016, a win over Jim Miller, a loss to Ricardo Lamas. Like, he's a guy that'll beat some lower level middleweights at this point, or welterweight, sorry. And I think that's just kind of where he is. He's not going to be a ranked guy, so it's I mean, it's a good win for Diego Sanchez, a really interesting one.
Yeah, good for him. But again, I swear if he goes and he's like, I have Cowboys looking for a fight, I don't want to see that.
Yeah, I mean, good win for Diego Sanchez. Huh. As we get a commercial for Johnny Walker,
who's in the next fight, I believe. Oh, no, there's one more fight.
Yeah, there's one more. And it's spelled differently, but still.
Do you know what might be my favorite kind of call-out in MMA of all time?
Hit me.
No, when Max Holloway decided, I'm going to call out McGregor, but not really. I'm going to fly to Ireland, get a tour of what's the whiskey there? Not proper 12 Irish whiskey.
Johnny Walker?
No, the other one. Jameson. He got a tour of the factory, and then he was like, not a cheap knockoff.
Screw the Jameson brothers. Oh, boy. Oh, brother.
Anyways, that was a good call-out. I appreciate
So if we head into the Twitterverse, yeah, a lot of people surprised that Diego Sanchez has still got it. I mean, I don't know about that. Bahahaha, F-U Mickey Gall, that's aggressive. Diego Sanchez with that fire ground and pound. Good stuff, bud, from Tatiana Suarez. Wow, Diego Sanchez. Told y'all Diego Sanchez is a special kind of crazy.
I mean, you're not wrong on that one. That's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I mean, a good win there for Diego Sanchez. A surprise for me. Sanchez is killing prospects.
Let's calm down.
I mean, Matt, you guys just got to duke it out. Jameson was the whiskey brand,
yeah.
yes. Good to see. Yeah, and I mean, a heck of a win there for Lionheart, Nightmare Dream, insert nickname here. A good one for him, really.
Yeah. He did well. Again, Mickey Gall, you got to do more cardio. You got to learn how to wrestle.
Yeah, Mickey Gall's. Yeah, I mean that's a tough one for sure for Mickey Gall, and it's kind of hard to try and figure out what's going to be next for him for sure.
Did Gall lose? Yeah, he got TKO in the second round, ground and pound.
Yeah. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine. Joe Rogan looking surprised as all hell. Anthony Walker says, can't say I liked how long it took for that stoppage.
I mean, that's what I was saying before, that they're going to stop it.
Yeah, Vintage Nightmare from the UFC as they show the finish on Twitter. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are kind of surprised that this happened.
Again, I saw this was his only path to victory. I just didn't think he'd be able to do it.
Oh, yeah. Might as well play some Fortnite. Enjoy the night.
I haven't played that game in a very long time.
I haven't played it in ever. Just straight up ever.
Apex Legends is fun.
Yeah, probably not going to happen. Probably not going to happen. I'm not beep boop beep gamer. Isn't that what they do?
I don't think so. You play UFC 3.
No UFC. Well, Fortnite's fun. What's the other big one there? Fortnite and
PUBG?
Skyrim. Are the kids playing Skyrim? Are they playing Grand Theft Auto 5? Is that what the kids play?
Some people.
Oh, okay.
Craig, you play video games. I don't know why you're acting like this.
What's that game? Duke Nukem? People play that?
Again, Craig, you play games. I don't know why you're trying to act like the cool guy on campus.
No, I play sports.
I don't play them beep boop beeps like you losers. That's basically what you just said.
I'm big on NBA, NHL, MLB, NFL.
Again, he's the cool dude on campus.
Yeah, I just play sports games.
Kind of a big deal. I don't know if you guys have heard.
It's kind of what I'm into. But Apex sucks. The hype is over.
Oh, see, I enjoy it. I think the map's cool. Varied. And I liked Overwatch a lot, so I like character-based shooters.
Good win for Diego Sanchez. And you know what? A big win for the gym. I mean, that's the first one of the night for Jackson Link.
Hopefully it'll be their last.
Easy. Hey, now.
Ah, goodness. If Anthony Smith can head kick Joe Jones, I'm going to be so happy.
Yeah, I mean, we get a look into the schedule. So UFC Fight Night on ESPN, Ottawa from the Canadian Tire Center, May 4th. You got one in Rio on the 11th.
Has the main event been announced for Ottawa, or is it just kind of
I don't think it has, but the fact that Rochester announced for an ESPN Plus on May 18th, that's kind of interesting. Other than that, they did just announce that June date today from Stockholm. You got one from Chicago, UFC 238. Greenville, South Carolina. Hey, South Carolina. One from Minneapolis, too. That's good. And then UFC Fight Week, followed up by your big card, UFC 239. So I'd like to see what people are predicting to come out on July, what is that, the 8th for UFC 239.
Yeah.
I'm eager to see what they're going to have for a main event on that one. You know, you could have your DC, your Brock. You could have DC Jones. You could have
DC's
Connor.
probably going to be on that card, though.
Connor and somebody.
I don't think... Why would you... I don't agree with that. Why would you put Connor on a pay-per-view that's already promised to sell?
I don't know. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff you can do. But, hey, I mean, UFC 200 was loaded.
Again, but that was 200, though. It was...
Typically with the International Fight Week, they have big fights anyway to try and market it and sell it.
Again, but you know Connor's going to sell a bunch anyway, so why would you put him on a card that, again, you're already promised to sell?
I don't know.
Outdo it in the first place.
I don't know, Matt. As we continue on with the prelims. And in the next fight, you got Alejandro Perez taking on Cody Stamann. Perez, if I'm not mistaken, is riding a really, really, big win streak. He's won 6 in a row, the last 4 over big-named opponents in Andre Cirkunov, Uriel Alcantara, Matthew Lopez, and Eddie Wineland.
I thought he
big
lost
enough
the
names.
Wineland fight.
You thought he lost the Wineland fight. It was a unanimous win. And for Cody Stamann, a guy who was wrecking it for the longest time, coming into the UFC, he had wins over Terrion Ware, who Terrion Ware had a rough go.
He's like 0-4 in the UFC.
Tom Duquesnoy, Brian Caraway, and then had the loss to Aljamain Sterling in his last one, and he got pumped in that fight. Like that was a tough loss against Aljamain Sterling. So it'll be interesting to see how Stamann comes out in this one against Perez. And I mean, I'm anticipating a half decent fight out of him here, really.
I think this fight's going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be a sleeper, as in like, hey, you guys can probably have a nap for about half an hour, or it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, I could agree. I mean, what you're going to basically expect to get out of a guy like Cody Stamann, you're going to get a wrestle-heavy offense from him. You can see some different looks from Perez, but you look, he had the decision win against Wineland, decision against Alcantara, decision against Cirkunov, majority draw against Albert Morales, and then he had 2 finishes before that, and he was coming into the UFC off the Ultimate Fighter Latin America Season 1 in 2014. He fought a guy named Vanderson De Silva. I like that name. But yeah, I mean, he's a good fighter. We're seeing some highlights from Turbo Perez right now as we see Jones should move up to heavyweight, get that belt, number 2. I'd like to see it.
I don't know. That's an easy fight for him, though.
I mean, try and break that down. So John Jones taking on Daniel Cormier at heavyweight. What do you expect out of a fight like that?
I think Daniel Cormier beats him and then retires. I really do think that the weight cut on DC going down to 205 really compromised the performances. I mean, we've seen he's only fought twice at heavyweight. He knocked out the greatest heavyweight of all time in 4 minutes. And then he absolutely ragdolled a guy who probably had like 30 pounds on him in the second fight. Like, he's untouchable.
Yeah, that was a tough one. Like, Lewis is coming off a win.
I know, I'm just saying, like, what he did to a guy who's way bigger than him, though.
Yeah.
Like, he ankle picked Derek Lewis and then choked him. That's insane. And I know Derek Lewis isn't the level of wrestler that Daniel Cormier is, but it's MMA. You gotta fight who you gotta fight if you want to be the champ. I think Daniel Cormier, if you go back and watch especially the second Jones fight, I know he got stopped by the head kick, but Daniel Cormier won the first 2 rounds, and he looked actually really good up until that head kick. It's just the reaction time and the thought, like the MMA IQ of John Jones is second to none. No one can download what someone's doing and kind of use it against them better than he can. Probably in MMA history. I just think DC at heavyweight's a little bit different than the one at light heavyweight, and I think the one at light heavyweight was already, maybe not as equal, but as close to an equal as John Jones as you're going to get. So I think he would be the underdog, and rightfully so, but I would go Daniel Cormier on that.
And I think moving forward and looking ahead at the rest of the card, I think what Matt and I will do is I think we'll stick around for the rest of the prelims. Then when we go on to the pay-per-view, Matt and I might enjoy the evening a little bit, watch the pay-per-view by our lonesome, grab a bite to eat.
There you go.
I'm really hungry, and I think that
came out of nowhere.
That's a half decent point to make. So again, thank you for joining us. You can find us above and below. You can find us on sportsbook.tv for the real-time interaction. You know, we're rolling through the comments here. We're also rolling through them on YouTube as well. So thanks again for joining us. We're having a blast. Yeah. Best part of the week for me is these live fight companions. It's kind of been our...
It's a sad life outside of that, to be honest.
It's kind of been our bread and butter and a little bit of our niche here, but we enjoy it for sure. So thanks again for joining us.
We were just going to watch the fights together anyway, so you might as well watch it with you guys.
Yeah, all the thumbs up on YouTube and whatnot, and it's the cat's behind for us as we wait for Perez and Stamen. I've got Stamen, but realistically, this is another one.
It's very much a toss-up.
Yeah, and it's a good thing. I mean, the matchmaking that we've had so far and lately in the UFC, it's been a good time. As Woody G87, I mean, listen, we are in Canada, and
we do what we want up here. We're crazy mountain people. It's a lot of Canada.
It's not really a mountainous region.
A lot of lumber. Yes, there is. There's the Appalachians end.
We get Jerry D doing stuff on TSN. That's always fun.
It's a thing. I don't know who. He's talking to an overweight Jean-Claude Rob Van Dam.
Something about divination.
Tarot card reading.
Yeah, I mean, what is this for?
That man has never eaten.
Oh, WestJet. Great card to get from WestJet. You can rack up the points as far as travel's concerned.
They're never on time, though, and if you want to leave that day, always book 1 day in advance, because they're probably going to be delayed a day.
They do a good job.
I went to Toronto the other year, and they're like, yeah, you want to fly out on Friday? I was like, yeah, that'd be great. I didn't leave till Saturday at night, so there you go. Oh, goodness. The UFC has announced something. Go back to Twitter real quick.
Yeah, it was just based on the shows that they'd announced that we saw there. But yeah, I mean, keep on rolling. The pace has been so-so for ESPN, which is, you know what, you can expect that, really.
With the pay-per-views, you can. With the actual ESPN, the ESPN Plus pacing is perfect.
Yeah.
And the regular ESPN, well, I guess both of them are really good. Just for pay-per-views, you know, you get a lot more advertising money, so they do have to take the breaks in between the fights, unfortunately.
Exactly. As we get ready and we get the metrics for Perez and Stamen, Matt, can you go over them a little bit?
They're virtually identical in almost every aspect.
Except for the reach, and that's going to be interesting with the way that Perez fights.
Exactly. You asked me the question and answered it for me.
I didn't mean to, but continue on.
Yeah, no, again, Cody Stamen's a phenomenal wrestler. He's kind of weird in the fact, though, that I feel, and he is wrestling heavy, I think he stands up too much. I think he tries to rely on his hands a little bit too much in the early going of fights, and it'll cost him a little bit. And then fight IQ isn't his strongest thing, especially against Aljamain Sterling. Don't shoot takedowns on Aljamain Sterling, because here's the thing. If you get on the ground with him, he's going to do something weird and get a submission. So that's a tough fight anyways for him.
That is a tough fight for sure. I mean, Aljamain Sterling, we saw it with his last fight, in his last win. Like, really impressive stuff.
He looked amazing. I didn't think he beat Jimmy Rivera. I just didn't think he'd be able to take him down, but he didn't really need to. He just kind of wore on him, and then his striking looked good, so...
Cody Stamen, Michigan's finest, we see fighting out of Sparta, Michigan. His nickname was the Spartan. He did just change it.
I don't know why he did.
And his nickname now it says the Spartan on Tapology, but I'm willing to bet he changed his nickname recently. I'm pretty sure he did, unless he switched it back. Let's see what it says on SureDog. It is now Mr. Wonderful. And that's
way
just...
worse.
Oh, boy. Ugh.
Mr. Wonderful.
That's
a name.
Yeah.
Like, the Spartan's overused, but at least it's kind of cool. And if you're from a place
and
called
you're from Sparta.
Exactly.
Yeah. What would be my nickname?
Crazy
Legs?
No. Craig the Crippler Allen, but it would just be because he would...
Oh, as a tag team? We would never work as a tag team.
Oh, yes, we could. The Fight Night Picks tag team. Let's think. What are we? I got nothing right now.
Crippler? Crazy Legs?
Crazy Legs is nice.
Ooh, big overhand right for Stam that misses.
Yeah,
now he's over into southpaw.
Perez landed a good kind of check left hook on that, though. That was nice.
Tons of enthusiasm on it. But yeah, I mean...
He landed a good shot.
Trying to think of a nickname for tag team for Fight Night Picks. The Damage?
No, that's terrible. Neither one of us would accept damage very well. You bruise like a peach.
Kind
of like getting hit. Let's think here. We could be like...
I poke and groin shot.
No, like in Talladega Nights, we go together like cocaine and pancakes.
Which one of you is the New Brunswick Nightmare?
Neither one of us. Up. No.
I mean, sleep with one eye open, because here comes the New Brunswick Nightmare. What are we going to hit you with? Maple syrup and...
Hit you with kindness.
Kindness and snow? I don't know.
I got nothing for you.
This is something I'm stumped now.
I mean, it's a hell of a question.
Equipment salesman.
There you go. Perez has landed the better shots in the feet so far. He's landing kind of a good check knee, almost like what Cowboy used against Alexander Hernandez. Like, throw the knee up the middle to kind of prevent the takedown.
A bit of a level change there from Stamen. Like, he's going to try and throw the takedown at some point. And some of the biggest legs in the division.
He's got a couple tree trunks he's walking around on, as Joe Rogan would say.
Kind of like Tyron Woodley at 170. Nice leg
Here's
kicks
a good question, though,
Perez.
considering if Tyron Woodley decides he does want to move up to middleweight, how do you think he will do? Like, do you think he can beat a guy like Israel Adesanya or Robert Whittaker, or do you think, like...
I think they'd be fun fights. I think Yoel Romero is a tougher test than a Tyron Woodley, because he's so much bigger.
They're like the same, he's just bigger.
Yeah, exactly. Cody Stamen in the scramble. Good job by Perez to get back up to his feet there, though.
Like, I remember after... Woodley beat Till, a lot of people were like, oh, he'd go up and beat Whittaker. I do not see that at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think Whittaker's really, really hard to beat. I think Woodley would have a good shot. I think he's got a better shot than a guy like Kelvin Gastelum.
I don't know if I'd agree with that. Kelvin Gastelum, 185. He's just so technical, and he's so much faster than most guys. It just, if you're going to beat Robert Whittaker, it can't be on the ground because he's almost impossible to take down. If Yoel Romero can't get you down, most guys won't be able to. On the feet, he hits hard, he's fast, and he's got really good cardio. Like, it's very, he's a tough puzzle to solve.
A tough puzzle to solve.
And with
tough
Whittaker,
cookie to crack.
Whittaker moves very similar to a Wonder Boy in the fact, like, he's kind of got that weird... He's not as karate, but he's one of these guys who, like, he's a really good kickboxer, but he does have some karate and taekwondo kind of movements involved in his game. So he could give Woodley some trouble. And he hits so hard.
Yeah, but a minute, just under 2 minutes remaining in this round. We haven't really seen a whole lot. I mean, both guys just trying to gauge distance at this point, realistically. Perez, I haven't really seen a whole lot of output from him so far.
He came out strong in the first minute, but he's kind of settled into the fight so far. And, yeah, if he's going to want to take this round, he's kind of got to be the one pressing forward again. Oh, as he cracks Stain with a good right hand, though.
Yeah, I mean, he made a mistake there with the spinning back elbow. Trying to land something.
I think
not
that was
really getting much.
Oh, we did catch Stamen with another good right hand. Stamen's one of these guys, and I know people hate it, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's oversaid, but when you carry around that much muscle, you are going to get tired. It's just a fact.
Especially 135, too, yeah, for sure. I don't see him as a major player. Like, I don't think he'd make waves at 145. I mean, you've got guys...
Stamen?
Yeah, you've got guys similar to him at 145. You've got your guys like Volkanovski, yeah, and they're bigger and they're stronger, exactly.
Like, could you imagine the height difference between him and Max?
Yeah, I mean,
Max
it'd
is
be
6
huge.
feet tall.
I don't think you'd see that fight at 145 either. I think Max's home is at 155. I don't think you're going to see him back at 145 unless it's a huge money fight.
There's this part of me that wants Max to just beat Dustin, beat Tony, beat Khabib, and then just stop. Be like, all right, then fight Tyron Woodley just for fun.
See, I want to see a rematch with McGregor. I think that would be fun.
I think it would be, but I think that that's the easiest of all those fights. I really do.
Stylistically, yeah.
Because with Poirier, there's the question of if he gets Max to the ground, he's got amazing ground and pound. Same thing with Khabib. Tony's the same thing. But with Conor, he doesn't have those same kind of question marks.
Yeah, Stamen working a tight takedown.
He is, but it's at the end. I don't understand this, and I know a lot of people say
expending a ton of energy. I don't know if they'll count that as a takedown. I don't think they will.
And even if they do, he didn't really get any damage or anything from it, so you can't count that all that significantly. Like, I don't see the point of going for a takedown at the end of the round because, and I know they say, oh, well,
good in the judge's mind.
Exactly, but still, you're not going to get any damage from it. You're not going to advance in any sort of positions, threaten with much, and it's just going to waste a lot of energy for you.
Exactly. I'm going to take my hoodie off. We can hear from Spretzebox.
There you go.
Today's episode's brought to you by Spretzebox. Head on over to the website, spretzebox.com. All you have to do, click to get started. You can either order one of their boxes that has over $100 in value, or maybe you're interested in a single item, like these great socks. So click on them, add them to your cart, head on over to the checkout, and then all you have to do is enter in the promo code FNP as follows here. You'll save 10% off your first box or your complete first order. That's spretzebox.com. All right, back again, right at the start, too. I'm wearing the Cellucor t-shirt.
Not a sponsor.
Pumping that C4 into my veins. It's good stuff.
Even though a friend of Craig's warned him about the effects of a pre-workout.
Did warn me about it, but I'm not going to heed his warning. I like to be pumped up.
To be fair, that friend who gave you the advice is about 9 feet tall and has nothing but muscles, so I take his advice.
He's a large man. All right, getting ready for the start of round number 2. Perez, Cody Stamen. This is a fight that I would not and did not consider in my article of top 3 potential fight of the nights because you've got two guys that, I mean, you got somebody who's really well-rounded in Perez. His grappling's great. You got Cody Stamen, who's wrestle heavy. On the feet, he's not bad, but he's not great. I mean, he's UFC caliber, but he's not great. And I mean, he is ranked 12th, but again, he's getting lit up. A nice left hand there from Stamen to the body of Perez.
The rib cage in the back.
Yeah, you don't see a whole lot of that. Every now and again, you see somebody get hit with like a hard shot of the ribs and then back.
The only one I can remember in recent memory is Mirsad Bektik when he fought Godofredo Pepe, and he like caught the kick, and he just like, it's such a meathead move, really. It was like a heart punch. Like he just threw an overhand right to the middle of the chest, and Godofredo Pepe just kind of folded. But yeah.
Godofredo Castro or Godofredo Pepe is always fun to watch.
Fun name. He beat Touchy Feely with a flying arm triangle, so that's neat.
He was always fun because he just threw caution to the wind and just went for anything.
Nothing but overhand rights, wheel kicks, and really good jiu-jitsu.
These guys are going at it right now at this point. I mean, neither guy
different things.
Gaining an inch. They're really throwing everything they have. Cody Stamen switches stances, throwing that oblique kick, which is... I remember a point in time, and MMA fans might as well, where a lot of people thought that oblique kick, excuse me, such a dirty kick.
It kind of is.
Yeah, just get rid of it. And it is. And Stamen keeps going for it because you see guys do that, and that's how you hurt, ligaments in your knee.
It just completely halts your forward pressure.
It does, but I mean, you can really hurt LCL, ACL, depending on which side of the knee that you land on. You see a guy like Mirko Krokop who retired this week due to possible stroke. I mean, there are all sorts of different symptoms. Look that up in your spare time, but... yeah, he was a guy that had a terrible, terrible knee injury.
Craig, you're talking about him like he's dead. He didn't die from a stroke. You're like, and our thoughts and prayers go out to the Mirko Krokop's family.
Oh, seriously, but earlier on in 2018, he was supposed to take on Roy Nelson. That would have been their second fight at Bellator 200, and they reused some footage in the broadcast from that week. But tore 5 ligaments in his knee.
Yeah, that's no good.
And it's not like he took a crazy kick or anything.
Do you remember that time that CM Punk was claiming why people should still call him CM Punk in the UFC? And he was like, people probably don't know Mirko Krokop's last name, and they called Quentin Jackson Rampage. Hey,
Flipovich.
They've accomplished so much more than you in the sport.
Yeah, and Quentin Jackson, they call him Quentin Rampage Jackson all the time.
Yeah, like people know his real name. That pissed me off so badly.
And then it came out in that lawsuit that was Chick Magnet Punk. That's what CM stood for, Chick Magnet.
That just makes
me
angry.
Good stuff to know. Always good to know little interesting factoids like that.
And he should never fight in UFC again.
Old Chick Magnet.
If Mike Jackson could beat you that badly, you don't belong.
Just under 2 minutes remaining in round number 2 between these two guys. It's been a chess match so far.
It really has been.
Really tough first round to score, honestly.
I would say Stamen round 1. I do think Perez started pretty strong, but he kind of slowed down as the round went on. And again, same thing in this round. Like he starts with a big bang and he kind of slows down as it.
Stamon's doing a good job gauging the spinning attacks, too. And he
Don't
goes
throw
for
them, though, if
spinning
they're that
wheel
slow.
kick of his own.
You're not Thiago Santos.
No. But a minute 30 remaining, round number 2.
Like,
Woo!
Like spinning stuff, switching stances, don't do it unless you know, like, okay, I've trained this for 3 years. I've got this down.
Yeah, exactly. Nice front kick there to the body from Stamon.
I say that, but, like, unless you're TRTV Tour, who had never thrown a wheel kick before, and then he threw 2, the one that missed Luke Rockhold's head, and then the one that hit Luke Rockhold's head.
Closing in a minute remaining. High kick from Perez that misses. Yeah, Stamon's doing a good job of gauging the distance. A little bit of a shorter fighter. I know we saw those metrics where Perez had a bigger reach advantage, but we haven't seen it too much so far.
He's not using it.
Significant strikes, more from Stamon. Stamon going back to his base, wrestle heavy. Perez doing a good job of
Perez hasn't
defending
been
the
taken
takedown.
down yet, exactly, yeah. So.
Yeah, there was that one, but he threw his hands down to the mat and he got straight back up. Because there's a guy that looks like a young Chris Weidman in the background there.
That's still my...
A lot of front row seats. But again, this is a card in Vegas, and I don't expect everybody to get in their seats.
They got money. They only show
All
up
the
for main
socialites.
cards. Exactly. One guy's like a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, and he's telling them all about the moves. Like, there's one guy like that.
Oh, man. If you
This
ever,
is an underhook.
Yeah, if you ever get the chance to go to a UFC event live, there's a lot of those. Listen, hey, we're doing Fight Companions. Love doing it. Cover it professionally.
We're weird, too. Don't get us wrong.
Matt enjoys it, and we'll break it down. We'll do our best. And it was a nice attempt there from Perez. But there's a lot of those armchair Arn Andersons, I guess. If that's
They're the
what
type
we're
of guys who
calling.
like Connor when he wins, but also say that he's the worst fighter when he loses.
Yeah.
Train. I used to, and then I was decent at basketball, so then I stopped doing MMA to play basketball, but then I didn't make the team, and then I did.
Yeah, I'm a baseball and hockey guy, so that's the background there. So as far as combat sports, it's getting my head hit by sticks and shoulders and stuff. But as far as MMA, no siree, Bob.
I got dropped by a head kick once by like a multiple-time world champion, and that was kind of a dick move by him.
Yeah, I'm a numbers guy. That's kind of my jam.
Craig's like Rain Man.
I'm a numbers guy. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, I got question mark kick and got dropped, but there's my story.
That was about the worst sell I think I've ever had. So, yeah. Yeah.
Craig's getting married this year. Congratulations to Craig.
Yeah, really looking forward to that.
There's not much talk about Craig. We're in a commercial break with Jerry D.
Yeah, here we go. Perez and Stamen. We got to get the counter ready.
You ever tried a P3 pack?
No, but I've seen them in the
They look
States.
some good, don't they? They're
Some of
like
them with
chicken
meat and almonds
they look
and
nice.
all sorts of different stuff. They actually do look really good. Never had one, though.
No, I haven't either.
Don't have those up here.
Perez is coming out strong in this third round.
Yeah, one more time. He's coming out strong. Let's see if he can try and get a finish here. Because I think this is a really tough fight to score.
He dropped him right on his head.
Yeah, he kind of rolled.
You know
Nice
what?
kicks. I
Perez
like those.
is-
Vicious.
Get on top. Wrestlers aren't usually good off their back. I don't know
Perez
why
wants this. Yeah, exactly.
Might be the
You
first
can
smart thing I
point him
said
here.
this hour.
You can point him here. I said that twice.
I know you did. You didn't have to either.
Fun to replay.
Kinda
The
weird.
next two fights are like two of the best fights of the night. Like now I'm getting fired up because you got Cirkunov,
Oh, we heard him.
Johnny Walker, and you got Stevens and Magomedsharipov. And Matt disagrees with a lot of people on Magomedsharipov and Stevens, and I do too
It's
to a
not that I
certain
disagree.
extent.
It's just I'm not on the train yet.
Yeah,
Let
which
him-
is fair.
Let him get to this stop. I'll think about it. Maybe I'll drive to the next one if he doesn't look great in this, but I'm not on that train just yet.
I think that's fair. Closing in at 4 minutes remaining in this fight. We're in round number 3 between Stamen and Perez. Stamen ranked 12th, Perez the unranked fight. I mean, great name on YouTube.
Thank
We
you,
really
Mark
appreciate
Nichols.
you joining us. We're going to be sticking around until the end of the prelims, and then we're going to go get some grub and enjoy the pay-per-view.
What do you want to eat, Craig?
In the comfort of, I don't know, probably A&W.
I've eaten there too much lately.
I don't know.
That's my spot.
Sorry, Stamen 12th, Perez 13th. I made a quick mistake there. As we continue along, round number 3. I mean, Perez has worked mostly from the southpaw stance in this fight. We have seen him switch stances. An
That was
interesting
good left
thing,
touch to the body by Perez. Sorry, Craig.
we saw this by a couple of fighters last week, and I want to get your take on this because it's something that we don't see very often. A nice swing there by Stamen that lands. We saw a couple of fighters last week, and I know you're sick, but standing basically chest straight forward.
Yeah, it's not smart.
I was gonna say it never really tends to work out for many people.
You get lit up to the body if you do that. That's the problem. Like, and there's positives and negatives to every style, but still, you can't fight completely square to somebody because A, your takedown defense won't be very good because you don't have one leg behind the other, and also it opens your body up completely. It's a little easier to see shots like in boxing range, like you can move left to right a little bit better, but that's the reason why you see boxers are very square, karate guys are like sideways almost, and the kickboxers are kind of like the bridge between the two. Like you've got, I'd say you're at like 3/4 maybe. But, yeah, it's kind of a weird style. And you are right. We did see, for some reason, a lot of fighters in that card have it. Lucy Pudilova comes to mind. She fought in it wasn't the co-main event, it was the third fight on the card.
Yeah, it was.
But Perez just landed another good left hand. He's running away with it in this round. But, yeah, I completely forgot. Oh, yeah, it's...
As far as, like, a square stance, like, you see some people moving forward square, they go hooks.
Yeah.
You can't really set up an overhand. You got to be more
turned. It's just, you're very boxing oriented from that stance.
Yeah, I mean, you can't pull a lot of torque in, and if you do,
no,
you're
just
probably
going
to
to get your left leg, though.
Exactly, yeah. It's something that we don't see often, but I did notice it out of a couple of fighters last week, and I brought it up during the fight campaign, and it's just not something that you see all that often.
There's a reason you don't see any champions fight that way, put it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, Tyron Woodley's kind of square, but it's more... He's still power-oriented, and he's got the wrestling option. He can kind of get away with it. But other than that, like, Khabib, no, he's got 1 foot behind the other, always ready to go for the takedown. Max never stands still.
Connor 1 foot behind the other.
Yeah, Connor's really far in that range. Like, most guys don't stand like that for a reason.
No, exactly. And a good point brought up by you. And that's just why I wanted to ask. As Stamen goes for maybe one more takedown, I could see this being a split decision fight.
I could too. On the feet, Perez is definitely the faster of the two, striking-wise. He's landed some good shots. I don't know why Stamen went for so many like spinning kicks to start off. It's not one of his better techniques. And also, like, you just get tired doing stuff like that. Again, like we mentioned about Zabit, there's a reason he gets tired. You can't throw wheel kicks, for 2 rounds and expect to be okay in the 3rd round.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. You got under a minute remaining. Stamen going for another deep takedown. He might be able to get it here. Perez's takedown defense has been great in this fight.
And against a really good wrestler, too. I mean, Stamen's not just some average guy going for double legs.
Nah, he's Michigan State champ. That's kind of his bread and butter, too. So if you can beat that, it just all depends on how you score it on the feet for these two guys. I mean, they've pretty much been going shot for shot for 3 rounds.
It was a better fight than I thought it would be. But, I don't know. Who would you give the edge to? I think you could say Perez won round 1 and 3.
I think so.
He definitely
that's
won round
how I
3. You did too. It's going to come down to who won round 1, I think. Round 2, I think Stamen. Round 3, Perez. And we'll go from there.
Yeah, I've got round number 2 for Stamen as well. Like to see how everybody's scoring this one
Good
at
fight,
home.
Though.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up on Twitter just to see what people are thinking here, because this is a really, really tough one to score. So we'll go down through the list, see what people are saying. UFC 235 from Alan Murphy says sweep the leg. We've got some Ben Askren, thanks for the memories from one championship. I wonder if in the broadcast they're going to say one championship.
It's weird. They always
that
say
other organization.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
This is an impatient crowd booing for 4 seconds. Anthony Walker says,
I thought it was a good fight.
Excited to announce we're launching a new series featuring one night, 8-woman tournaments in every weight division for big cash prize.
I'm watching that. I don't even like Invicta that much, but I'll watch that.
That's a lot of fun. Invicta does a lot of fun things, so good to see that they're going to do that.
Style, pretty much.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
The throw from him, I mean, not really a whole lot from the fans as far as their scoring this one so far. Perez 29-28 from Anthony Walker. He's definitely a good source, so if you can follow him on Twitter at AntWalkerMMA, covers it for Sure Dog, does a good show. Jason Burgos, friend of the show, he's been on before.
I mean, some people have Stamen every single round. I think that's a little ridiculous. I thought Perez definitely.
Yeah, Mike Strauss has it 30-27 for Stamen. I've got it 29-28 for Perez.
It's 29-28 either way. I could see Stamen going round 1 and 2, but I'm gonna say Perez round 1.
Friend of myself, Keith Schillen, says 29-28 Stamen. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how these judges score this one.
Very close fight, though. Fun fight.
Fun fight for sure. Yep, that's.
As you can tell from Craig's enthusiasm, he loved every second of it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this one works out. We're getting the camera view on Perez. I'm just looking forward to the next 2 fights. I think we're going to see finishes in both of them.
Which is, even if this is a split decision and Stamen wins, you're going to have to start considering other roads of victory if your last 3 fights have all been split decisions.
Yeah, I mean, you look at a guy like Jean Vellante, too, like losing his last one, but the fights before that, split. Maybe he's the guy that moves up to heavyweight. For Stamen, maybe you change camps. I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, winning by split decision is definitely not what you want in a fight. They're going to say Stamen.
Looks like a unanimous.
Yeah. I can't disagree with it.
Yeah, Cody Stamen getting the win in this one. Yeah. That's just the way it is. Some things will never change. That's just the way it is.
Exactly. Like how Anthony Hamilton loses, just like how Cody Stamen wins by decision.
You win some, you lose some. Anthony Hamilton. So if you're paying attention, they've got, they usually have the Latvian flag.
I always thought it was Canadian. I'm not going to lie. I don't think I've ever seen the Latvian flag in my life anyways.
It's white and red. White and almost burgundy. Johnny Walker being weird.
I know a friend of ours was the head coach of their national hockey team. I say friend, a guy who I vaguely know.
Misha Cirkunov, Johnny Walker. The weirdest graphic I've ever seen that's not cool at all. Both guys with six-packs. I mean,
both
good for them.
Both guys look better than Craig and I will say that much.
I mean, I've got the Cellucor shirt. So Cellucor wants to sponsor the show. I have some of their great products. Here, Matt.
I got a bunch of leaves on
If I move over, it's from supplementsource.ca.
Hey, Cellucor, give us money.
There is another one, but yeah, I'm back on the train, getting the membership to Good Life.
Did you guys think that Perez won that fight? Is there anyone out there that did agree with Craig and I, or are we completely off?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like the jury was kind of out on that on Twitter. A lot of people did have it for Stamen. It's official, International Fight Week, July 3rd to the 7th, according to the UFC's Twitter page. James Lynch, under a tweet from Brendan Allen, if I can get the UFC to sign me, I'd like to fight this guy. Yeah, look at that. Brendan Allen, too, coming off a big win. So Allen wants Shabazian. That'd be a good fight. LFA champ, shares the last name, follows me on Twitter. Probably because we share the last name.
Probably.
John Morgan. So it was a 29-28, 29-28, 30-27 for Stamen.
See, I thought Perez had round 3 no matter what. I thought that was pretty easy. He had all the big moments in that round. Frig, I'm stiff. And, but yeah, I mean, Stamen kind of shut down, I guess, the offense. A lot of clinch work up against the cage. But, I don't know. I favor the guy who's throwing more and trying to be more offensive. That's all.
Yeah. Next fight, Cirkunov taking on Johnny Walker, and it looks like there's not a lot of fans in the crowd at all, which is just terrible.
It's a shame.
But again, they'll show up for the main card, and that's when we ship out. We're gonna get some grub.
Craig and I once saw the world's drunkest man at UFC Halifax. He probably spent, and I'm not kidding, between $200 and $300 on just beer. And underneath his seat, it was just littered with a bunch of empty cups. And there was another guy who sat very close to them, and he would wake up. He fell asleep, and then he woke up in the main event, and he just yelled, "Travis loves Ronda!" And then he fell back asleep. So there's the type of people you will see sitting on the floor at a UFC event.
Yeah, they were yelling, great things. They were the type of people that
they train UFC. They don't train MMA.
Just enjoy a good scrap, really. I mean, that's all I can say. So if we have a look at this fight, Johnny Walker, the favorite in this one, a slight favorite, -175 to -185.
Smart money would be on Cirkunov.
Yeah, they're starting to get a lot closer. I think you're right. I think the smart money would be on a guy like Cirkunov. He's coming off the big win over Patrick Cummins, who's pretty wrestle heavy.
He's coming off the win.
Hands. If you look at Johnny Walker, he's an insane man who should be in an asylum. And he's
but I love everything about him.
He's allowed to fight and conduct himself in the weirdest of ways in the public eye. I think he's definitely a good... Like, he tried to soccer kick Justin Ledet, and they just kind of glossed over that in the highlight package.
Well, no, he hit him in the shoulders. It's a little different.
Yeah, he's a nut.
Like in the movie Shutter Island, he would be one of the people who's locked away there.
Yeah, he's a straight nut, but he's a lot of fun to watch.
He is. Seems like a fun guy.
I'm really looking forward to this fight.
Doesn't drink, which is the most surprising fact you'll ever hear me tell you.
I don't think so. I don't think it's all that surprising, because you got to be sober to fight.
Not really. Like, a lot of fighters party pretty hard at their off time.
Yeah, when they go into a fight, like the day of.
No, but Johnny Walker just doesn't. Like, he's completely straight edge, CM Punk style.
I'm completely straight edge.
No, you're not.
Point. Yeah, I am.
Easy now, Craig.
Completely.
Oh, God, you're just the worst.
Getting ready for this fight between the Latvian Canadian and the Brazilian, who also fought out of England in his first fight in Brazil, just to try and gain a bigger crowd because he thought he'd stick out more if he wore the English kit rather than the Brazilian one. Which, hey, I mean, fair play.
Again, he's crazy though.
I like him. I think he's just doing all the right things.
I enjoy Johnny Walker very much.
So we get ready for the walk-ins. Matt plays with a pen.
Yeah.
Getting ready to see some nice Canadian golf courses.
From Asante Wealth Management. So if you have probably over $15 million, you give them money, and then they give you more. Asante.
That was the Algonquin in New Brunswick.
Right. Beautiful. It's a very haunted hotel.
Yeah, it is haunted.
But like nationally famous. Really cool.
Yep.
Cost so much money to stay there for one night, though, it's not worth it.
Unless you can get a good deal.
But normally it's like $250.
That's not that much money.
For just a regular room in a nowhere's town?
Yeah, that's not that... Well, it's a resort town, and it was voted by USA Today in 2016 as a top Canadian destination, which surprised the hell out of me.
As someone who lived there for a while, it's not that good.
It's cool, and it's something that you'd take for, like, a day vacation.
Yeah, it's cool to go there. It's right by the ocean. It's a place called St. Andrews. It's a nice place to spend, like, a day or two, but there's not a bunch to do. Really good food
you can
there.
only hit the golf course once or twice.
But you can go whale watching. That's kind of cool. Whales freak me out, though. I did it once. I didn't really like it.
Getting a Sergio Garcia commercial as we're getting ready for Johnny Walker taking on Misha Cirkunov. And
did we just get a question in the sports booth? No, we didn't. Sorry.
Yeah, great job by Matt. Cirkunov 14-4, Walker 16-3, and it was interesting, and I brought this up in our episode on Thursday. For Johnny Walker, his last loss was to Enrique Silva. Before that, Klidson Abreu, who competed last weekend, UFC on ESPN2. And for Misha Cirkunov, he had a bad streak where he had the losses to Volkan Oezdemir and Glover Teixeira, both first-round losses. He was looking unbeatable before that. Coming into the UFC, wins over Daniel Jolly, Alex Nicholson, Ian Kutalaba, Nikita Krylov. And he was moving his way up the ranks. 2-fight losing streak. He switched up his camp from... he went from UFC...
Oh, he's back. Marty's back.
He went from Extreme Couture. That's Misha Cirkunov. Yeah, he went from Extreme Couture Toronto and moved to Extreme Couture in Vegas. And now he's looked a lot... Seems a lot more confident, too. I think his wife had health issues. He mentioned that in the conversations that we had in Moncton.
That'd be tough to fight while that's going on.
And yeah, especially moving from Toronto and back again from Vegas too. But so Marty Usman asked, what did I miss? So if we go from bottom to top, Ciphers beat Viana, Chasson beat Mazzani, Shabazian beat Bird, Diego Sanchez finishing Mickey Gall.
Second round.
Cody Stamann pulling out a unanimous decision win over Alejandro Perez. It was a really close one.
Good fights so far.
Yeah, we both had Perez winning that one. Now we've got Cirkunov taking on Walker, and then you've got the featured prelim in Jeremy Stevens taking on Zabit Magomedsharipov. Then we're going to take off, have a bite to eat. We're going to catch the pay-per-view. You can find us on Twitter at Craig Allen FNP, at Matt Allen FNP for the fight night picks. And we get the particulars on Walker and Cirkunov. Walker's going to have a height and reach advantage. It's probably going to be pretty
How
distinct.
did Gall go down? So he got him in like a plum clinch up against the cage, like a Muay Thai clinch. Hit him with a knee that I thought landed to the body in the first place, but it must have rocked him pretty bad. He kind of went down after that. And then it was just sort of control by Sanchez till he got into full mount, and then he ground and pound.
Now Johnny Walker's fighting out of Phuket, Thailand.
Johnny, why did they not show his walkout? Like,
I don't know. He just did the rock thing where he flexed his pec.
Listen, I've got nothing but love for Johnny Walker.
Yeah, he's a strange man. In all the right ways. And Misha Cirkunov is the most straight-edge guy with...
Very stoic.
PFL president Ray Sefo in his corner. Probably trains with Vinny Magalhaes down there, too.
Probably.
Kevin Lee.
That's
Keith
the
Lee.
thing, like... The UFC PI, I know it gets a bad rap because for a while everyone who trained there was losing, but like the whole thing that they do where like you get your meal plans there, like they set you up to succeed. They do a lot of stuff that maybe younger fighters can't afford early on in their career, like meal preps, nutritionist, physio, like all that kind of stuff they provided. So it's a really good idea.
It's a good idea too, especially like you could train during the day, Extreme Couture, go over.
You can bring your own coaches over. Like...
Yeah, a lot of good things you can do. Cirkunov opening up in the southpaw stance, Johnny Walker. Just straight up weird.
Yeah. Oh, I thought he got kicked in the...
Yeah, Walker ate a kick to the inside of the leg and kind of labored it a little bit. I don't know if he was just being a weird guy or...
He's being real goofy. real goofy boy.
Yeah, Cirkunov just kind of waiting it out, standing on the outside, seeing what Walker's going to bring.
Oh my goodness, he just flying kneed him.
Yeah, he's hurt.
Johnny Walker just flying kneed Misha Cirkunov, and I don't understand anything anymore.
Let's give Johnny Walker the title.
John Jones tomorrow, please. So, if you don't know who Johnny Walker is, he's a real crazy guy who could be from anywheres, and he finishes fights in 10 seconds. What did we just watch? I picked him to win, but I had this sneaking suspicion that Cirkunov was just going to take him down and choke him out. Nope. Like Yoel Romero, he flies through the air and knocks out the Latvian. I'm getting a bunch of texts.
Yeah, and Matt, who's never used a phone during a live stream, really just doing a great job. Yeah, so Johnny Walker surprising the world, and Johnny Walker getting another first-round finish in under a minute.
Oh my god.
And if it wasn't under a minute, it was pretty damn quick.
The awkward athleticism of this man might
be
that
too
looked
much. Like chin and knee, is what it looked like to me.
It was a
Oh no, it was the top of the thigh above the knee. Wow. That's a performance of the night.
Oh really, Craig?
Man, getting to see that highlight again, like this guy is so crazy.
Oh my god. So I'd say Jean Vellante next.
I mean, like if we look, so let's look at the UFC's rankings right now and try and make sense of this. Like, I don't care what Johnny Walker says. Okay, so light heavyweight, let's look top 10 because I don't care 10 down. Reyes has got a fight against Uzdemir. Corey Anderson's lobbying for a fight.
Boring as all hell.
Give him Corey Anderson.
No, give him John Blachowicz.
Or give him Blachowicz, or give him like Alexander Gustafsson.
No, don't do that.
Give me...
That's how you brand hype.
Give me everything.
Thanks for defending our honor, but it's all good.
Yeah, like... Man.
That's wild. Hey, Johnny, you're just alright in my books.
I mean...
Johnny Walker could pretty much do anything, and he's got a free pass in my book all of a sudden. Imagine they're like, Anthony, listen. Johnny didn't take any damage, he's all good. You just get to the back of the line. What just happened?
Oh. So Johnny Walker's finished 2 guys in like 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
In 3 seconds combined?
Have him fight Rakic? That's not fair. We don't need that.
No.
Man, Johnny Walker's a madman.
I fucking love it. Sorry for cussing. I try not to, but I think that time was warranted.
Man.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
And also, let's televise his walkouts, alright? They're half the fun of a Johnny Walker fight. The other half is he might just flying knee the 12th ranked guy in the world in 10 seconds.
Man, Johnny Walker is
It's Zabit time, Matthew. Hey, if Zabit wins, I'm all aboard. Choo-choo, mother effer.
Man, Johnny Walker.
Oh, he feels bad.
Poor Misha Cirkunov.
Misha's fallen on hard times lately. He's been knocked out in 3 of his last 4.
Yeah, Lucas Lecek in the corner, doing the translating most likely. I spoke with him before.
Can't Walker speak English? 36 seconds.
Yeah, so under a minute for his last 2 finishes.
Combined,
yeah.
Joe Rogan's going to be wanking him off on the podcast for the next 3 months.
If you're a Joe Rogan fan, excuse me, yeah, I'm sure he's going to have everything to say about Johnny Walker. All smiles. 4th UFC light heavyweight with 2 finishes in under a minute each. Probably combined too, yeah. Oh yeah, hit the worm again, Johnny.
No, hit that like, I'm a worm, but it's also very warm out and there's no moisture in my skin.
Man, Johnny Walker is the weirdest guy.
But again, in all the right ways.
Like, he's super marketable, too. Like, again, he could be a guy that couldn't speak a lick of English and nobody needs to care because he's such a good fighter.
Let him dance. Let him knock people out.
This is the type of fun you need to have in sport. It's like when people get mad at Bryce Harper for showing some flair in baseball.
Has nothing to do with anything, but okay.
Show all the flair in the UFC. Show it. Especially with ESPN. It's all about entertainment at this point. So you got to try and really sell yourself.
And another one.
Why don't we show the first other, 30 seconds of this fight? Oh, wait.
Oh, frig.
Oh, Misha.
Johnny.
Misha, you had to know it was coming.
So there's a knockout from standing elbows in the clinch. He has a spinning back fist, knockout, and a flying knee.
Johnny Walker.
Listen,
wearing blue trunks tonight.
Oh, he's going to be billed out of New Brunswick, Canada the next time he fights. No one knows.
Yeah.
He's a mystery wrapped in an enigma.
Johnny Walker.
He's going to go back to the cave in which he began fighting in, but...
You know what he should have as his walk-in from now on? Believe by Cher, but he sings it himself.
I would not be against that.
Yeah. Do you believe in Johnny for champ? I can feel something inside me say.
I really don't think Smith's good enough. Whoa. And then he comes out. No, could you imagine they're like... they announce Anthony Smith's coming in, and then all of a sudden Joe Rogan comes in and he's like, guys, Anthony Smith has sustained an injury.
There's that Luis Dos Santos card. That's fire. Like,
guys, Eliseo Zaleski Dos Santos is fighting Curtis Millender.
Capoeira and Millender as a co-main's great. Tim Means, Nico Price, that's pretty good.
That's a bet.
Blagoy Ivanov and Ben Rothwell. I'm just looking forward to the return of Ben Rothwell, but if Blagoy can actually show us real Blagoy, Beneil Dariush, Drew Dober.
That's a fun fight.
It's fun, but Drew Dober should fight at 170. And Tim Boach and Omari Akhmedov, that's fun. Yana Kunitskaya should not be on the prelims. Anthony Rocco Martin, Sergio Moraes.
That's a good fight.
That's a good fight. Grant Dawson, Julian Rosa, that's half decent. Maurice Green, Jeff Hughes is really fun.
Back.
And that's a rematch. Luis Smolka, Matt Schnell's fun. Alex Moreno and Zach Otto is a good one.
That's not a good one.
And Alex White, Dan Moret, not that great. But still, it's a pretty good card. Kansas is getting a decent one. And it's good to see Kansas getting like a live fight card like this. As we get Megan O'Leary, Chael Sonnen, and Michael the Count Bisping, former champ, tried to be a champ tons of times, wasn't a champ, and
is married to a former 2-time title challenger.
Yeah, so there we go.
So there's a lot of one guy has gold up on there.
Yeah, and realistically, we've got about 45 minutes before the pay-per-view starts, so we get a little bit of time to kill. So if you want to toss us some questions, we'd love to answer some questions, whether you're live on sportsbooth.tv or on YouTube. Matt had a good nap before this, so he should be fired up.
I slept on, there's like a deflated air mattress in the background that you guys can't see, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to have a nap. So instead of going out on a couch like a regular person, nope, slept on a deflated air mattress, real sore now. Yeah, and I woke up to Craig playing Polish hip-hop.
Yeah, we're really getting forward to, I can't talk. We're getting ready for KSW 47. And it's a hell of a card. So
we also just like Polish music, anyways.
Yeah, we're into it now. We're into it for the long haul. So KSW, Polish hip hop, yeah, like legit.
It's good, isn't it?
Okay. It is. It's good. We're getting into it. KSW 47, the X Warriors coming up this month on the 23rd. In the main event, you've got Tomasz Narkun taking on Phil DeFries. Who's going to win that one?
Tomasz Narkun is.
See, you think Narkun is. I think DeFries is. Narkun's good at everything, and his forward pressure and his wrestling's really good. We saw that against Kaladov, but at the same time, Kaladov is a career 185er. Narkun, your 205 champ. Now he's moving up to 265.
Kaladov speed-wise is so much faster than Phil DeFries. And Kaladov was able to drop Narkun twice in the first fight, once in the second fight. But I just don't know if DeFries is going to have the speed to catch Narkun.
Mariusz Pudzianowski taking on Szymon Kalecki. Kalecki, the Olympic gold medalist weightlifter. Pudzianowski, the world's strongest man, five times over.
Google that fight and then look up like the weird promo they did, and
they've got them for different fights now too.
Yeah, but like KSW doesn't shy away from the fact that yes, this is a freak fight, and like neither guy is going to be world champion. Just kind of fun.
Oh yeah, lots of fun, and really, like I said, looking forward to this card because all the fights are fun. You've got former guest of the show, Marcin Rozek, taking on Daniel Torres. That could be a possible title eliminator at 145, though we did see Saladin Palnas beat Marcin Rozek. Badly. But still, it all depends. You've got a great fight at women's flyweight, Alexandra Rolla taking on Carolina Osiris. That should be a good one. Apart from that, I mean, Boris Mankowski, your former champ at 170, taking on Norman Park, UFC vet. That's a fun one. Satoshi Ishii taking on Fernando Rodriguez Jr. Rodriguez Jr., former heavyweight champ, so that should be a good one there. Then you've also got Damian Jankowski, former Olympian, taking on Alexander Illich. Illich is a good fighter. He's 10-2 at this point. We look at some of the wins. We look at some of the losses. Tons of finishes, and had a finish win in both of his fights in 2018. So that should be a good one there. And then at the bottom of the card, Paul Politiol taking on David Gralka. And we're just really, really looking forward to this card. Big fans of the promotion in general. They put on a good show.
They do. They put on a good show.
And that's probably the biggest part of it. So, we've got a lot of good MMA to look forward to in this month.
Certainly do.
We were also going over fight announcements, and we didn't get a chance to go over all of them. So, UFC Ottawa, if I could grade this card, and I'll lead off, and you can kind of follow me up.
Can a Z be this grade, or is that too low?
I'm going with a D or an E right now. UFC Ottawa's not looking good at all right now as it stands. Some of the fights that were announced, you've got Andrew Sanchez taking on Marc-Andre Berrio. That's a good one. Berrio from TKO making his UFC debut. Aldierte Sanchez, he won the Ultimate Fighter at, 205?
Yeah, he did.
Now he's fighting at 185. You got Sarah Morris, the Canadian, who's 2-3 in the UFC, taking on Leah Letson. Kelleher Gagnon. You've got Arjun Singh Bullard taking on Juan Adams.
That's not.
Vince Morales, Eamon Zahabi. You've got Brad Katona, Merab Duashvili.
That's a banger.
That's the most fun fight. And then you've got Derek Brunson and Elias Theodorou. And at one point, that was supposed to be your main event, which is terrible.
Yeah. Derek's going to knock him out in 5 seconds.
That's not even pay-per-view material.
Of course.
And it's not really like fight night main card. Maybe it's like your first fight or your second fight.
Yeah.
But it's not like they got.
But Derek Brunson's been knocked out in 2 straight fights, and Elias Theodorou,
you can sell him easy.
No,
but
you
it's
can't
not...
though. No one wants to see him fight. It's kind of well known now that would be better than.
Yeah, Marty, that's a good point, and there is one channel in particular that does that, and they don't go deep into the analysis. I get what you're saying. I don't know if I have the social skills to do it. I'm hanging out with you degenerates on a Saturday night. I don't know if I can do it. And Matt definitely can't. Matt definitely can't. I'm not naming names. You can find them. They're doing a fight companion right now.
Or hint at it. I don't actually know who it is.
No, I'm not going to go there. Either way, I wish we could. But
Greg's throwing shade all of a sudden out of nowhere.
I'm not throwing shade. I'm just saying that's what they have, and they do a good job of it.
Oh, you donks watching this with us.
No, they do a good job.
First of all, you completely alienated anyone who plays video games who watches this, and now you're calling them all dogs for watching this. I don't think
I'm saying we don't have the social skills to get a
Oh, you're not wrong.
No.
No.
And that's not our demo anyway.
No.
No.
Not a lot of hot chicks are watching this. If you are, Craig's engaged, but I'm not. So hey, hit me up on Twitter. I'll be a little bit better than Luke Rockhold in the DMs, but not by much.
Yeah, Luke.
Luke, you look like you do. Get better at talking. That's all I can say.
Yeah, like you had, what's her name there? Singer.
Demi Lovato.
Yeah, Demi Lovato.
You should be able to get, what's her name?
Looking up, there's one more bit of fight announcements that were thrown out there for May 11th, UFC 237. Antonio Rogerio Nogueira taking on Ryan Spann. Spann's winning that fight.
Nogueira just knocked out Sam Alvey.
Spann's huge at 205.
Yeah, Nogueira's Nogueira.
I think he's going to be able to get it done. Irene Aldana taking on Bethe
It's going to be an
Correia.
awful fight, but Aldana's going to win.
Jared Cannonier, Anderson Silva.
That fight's going to make me real sad, because I like Anderson Silva, and we'll leave it at that.
I've got Cannonier. And Jessica Rose Clark taking on Toledo Bernardo. That's not a bad one.
What fight card is David Branch versus Jack Hermanson on?
That's a really good question.
I like to ask him every now and then. I'm a big Jack Hermanson fan. One of the few.
Let's see. Jack Hermanson. That's a fun one because both guys have really good ground games and good stand-up. UFC on ESPN Plus 2 coming at the end of this month. And if we have a look at that card, that's Barboza Gaethje. You've got Waterson, Kovalkiewicz, Alexa Grasso, Marina Rodriguez.
Kovalkiewicz should take longer off.
Branch Hermanson. Paul Craig taking on Kennedy.
Shaman Barrage.
Marina Moroz, Sabina Mazzal.
She's awful. Marina Moroz is the hardest fighter to watch. She just throws at the air.
Mazow's got a really high ceiling. Shimon Moraes and Sodiq Yusuff. That's kind of a fun
Desmond Green at Ross Pearson's a sleeper of a fight.
Kevin Aguilar taking on Enrique Barzola. That one's fun.
Enrique Barzola's silently got a big win streak.
Ray Borg against Liu Pingyuan, and then Josh Emmett, Michael Johnson.
How old is Pingyuan?
That's a really good card. It got changed to Rio.
Oh, does it? Oh.
For what one? What one?
237.
237 got changed for Rio. Okay, yeah, and there's a lot of yeah, you're right, and there's a lot of Brazilians on the card too. It says TBA versus TBA, so it'll be interesting what we get from Maine.
I know they did announce Rose Namajunas is fighting Jessica Andrade on that card. I think Jessica's finally going to get the title.
And I wonder if you get to see Amanda Nunez on that card too against Holly Holm, which the fight's been talked about. I just don't know when it is.
Is there a big market for that though? Do you see Holly Holm having much success? Be honest. And you're as big of a Holly Holm fan as I know.
I'm not a fan, but I want to see that fight. I like to see her fight, but I don't know if there is. I know it says cancel bout on her Tapology page against Aspen Ladd, but they say that, yeah, she's going to get a title shot, so maybe that's the card that it could happen.
I want Smith to win, too.
I think a lot of people want Smith to win. Brett Okamoto is a part who has the biggest suit on. That suit's too big, Brett. Yeah, bit of a lull here before we get to see our featured prelim, and you know what? You can sell it, so that makes sense. Mark Henry says Zabit's the most natural fighter he's ever seen. Naturally, his cardio's not good. That's something you got to work on.
Mark Henry's also known to boost up his fighters a little too much sometimes.
No, pump his tires?
No, never.
I mean, yeah, and it's interesting, too, because a guy like Barboza, who left Mark Henry to go back down to ATT.
And look how good he looks.
Yeah, exactly. He looked great against Dan Hooker.
Poor Dan Hooker. That fight was hard to watch.
Jeremy Stevens tied for most knockdowns in UFC history. Also, one behind the record for most fights in the UFC?
I think he might even be tied, isn't he?
I think tonight he would tie, because I think he's, 15 and 14 in the UFC?
I'm not sure.
Something like that. Tons of fights from Jeremy Stevens.
I do like Jeremy Stevens, though.
As hopefully we get to see them make the walk. We're just about at that half-hour mark.
Yeah, I'd just like to see a fight at this point. Bring Johnny Walker versus Brett Okamoto. Let's have some fun.
Now we're getting the breakdown of Zabit Magomedsharipov.
Listen, there's a good chance he wins. I'll let you guys know this right now. Am I cheering for Jeremy Stevens? Just a lot. Do I think he's going to win? Yes, I do.
Yeah, I mean, if we have a look at the odds, they're favoring Zabit by a wide margin. This was before the card.
So that's why old Matty put
went
some money
live
on Jeremy Stevens.
I mean, yeah, if you're of the mindset that Jeremy Stevens is going to get the win here against old Abe.
And I know I kind of used the term smart money a second ago and it didn't work out for me, but Jeremy Stevens to be a plus 240 underdog is kind of absurd, especially he just needs one. If he gets lucky once in 15 minutes, he wins the fight. That's all he's going to do.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I mean, I we might sound like we're in a bit of a wind tunnel right now, but I do have Stevens in this one.
How do you not get stiff sitting here?
Against the 13th ranked. Kind of a professional, doing this as a professional. That's kind of how I don't get stiff. Take it seriously like it's my job.
I do too, I just can't. I don't know how you sit for so long.
Because I sit in a truck all the time.
I know, you're kind of a big deal.
That's just the way she goes. But yeah, I mean, a great fight at featherweight, and a good one too as a UFC featured prelim here on Big ESPN. It's one that, if you're going to track some eyes, this is definitely a fight that you want to do that. And two guys with really, really high finish rates. So it typically a fight like this will perform.
It will. Zabit's a bit of a slow starter too. That's the one thing.
He's a slow starter and a slow ender.
Okay, you're making his cardio issues out to be like he's Francis Ngannou. He's not that bad cardio-wise. He slowed down in one fight. I don't like him, but give him a little bit of credit. He also broke his hand early in that.
I don't know. But if you head on over to FightNightPicks.net, you can check out the latest article picking a winner, UFC 235 fight of the night. If we head back over here, there's a picture of the article. I had Edmund Shabazian and Charles Bird. Of course, that fight ended in a quick finish for Shabazian there. Both guys had really high finish rates. If you look at Jeremy Stevens and Zabit Magomedsharipov, 34 combined finishes between those two guys. You had 25 wins by knockout, 19 of which belonged to Jeremy Stevens. I mean, two ranked guys, both scrappy, and Jeremy Stevens went through a tough spot between 2014 2017. Then he went on a bit of a win streak. He took on tough guys, and those losses were to guys like Cub Swanson, Charles Oliveira, Max Holloway, Frankie Edgar, and Hanato Moicano, and they were all decision losses. And then you look at that win that he had over Gilbert Melendez, where his output went through the roof. And if I bring you the actual stats, he landed 26 of 92 strikes in the second round, and then in the third round, 51 of 101, so he just about doubled his striking. And Magomedsharipov, former ACB champ, so you get that kind of recognition. He's on a 12-fight win streak, and he's looked great in the UFC. 3 finishes, and he had that Sulev stretch in his last one against Brandon Davis. It's kind of tough. I kind of noted the fact that Magomedsharipov has a tendency to fade. We saw it in that Kyle Bochniak fight. And we've seen also from Jeremy Stevens where he'll pick it up in the later round or rounds. So I think he's going to be able to get the win by finish in that fashion. But it'll be interesting to see what Magomedsharipov brings into this fight. We know that his ground game is definitely going to be better. His jiu-jitsu in particular.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
But it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out.
We could see either guy throw a flying knee 31 seconds in and end it.
Yeah, and I mean, if that happens, then we'll go get some grub a little bit quicker.
Craig's very excited for the food. I don't know if you guys can tell.
Yeah, I'm very hungry. And we're just getting ready for this start to our last fight.
What are you guys eating?
Beats me.
Who knows? What are our options? We'll let the fans decide.
Yeah, I mean, make a pick. There's no Popeyes here. There's no...
Oh, I'd like it. Is there... Do you want to go KFC?
I don't know. There's no... What the hell is around you guys? I don't know. We had lobster for supper, legit.
It was good.
Yeah, we had lobster. So, I don't know what we're going to have. There's Chez McDonnell. There's Dairy Queen. There's A&W. There's pizza places.
There's Smoked Poutine again. They're up until 2.
Yeah, Little Caesars. There's a good taco spot. That's where we're going, Taco Boys downtown.
You mean, no, not Taco Boys.
Do they sell poutine at fast food places? Yeah,
some of them, yeah.
So last night for supper, I went to a poutine place.
Poutineery.
Yeah, poutineery, and so that's what I had. I had the country poutine, which was like grilled onions, peas, chicken, and cheese curds, and the gravy and the fries. So it's pretty good.
I made I made steak sandwiches at home. It was very good. What you do is cook the steak in the oven, and then you sear it in a pan, but you do that with all your vegetables, and then you just toast the bread in the same pan that you just cooked the steak in, so then it soaks up all those nice juices.
Really killing it with the fight analysis here, but...
I like food, too. Look, okay, a guy's playing bongos on pugs right now. What do you want me to talk about?
I think those are pug massages, but no, those are pug drums.
Hey, Craig. Don't ever question me on my pug bongo knowledge.
Yeah, you can get poutine at McDonald's up here, too. It's alright. It's not bad.
You don't go out of your way for it, though.
No, you get it as an add-on. It's kind of like a snack.
How late's Burrito Jack open until?
Oh, it's open late.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing better. Here's the one nice thing about Fredericton. There's 3 bars next to each other in this little, I don't even know, like a U, and then there's a pizza place right next to there, and there's a place you can get burritos and poutines. So pretty much that's all you need.
It's a pretty good spot. And then one of the bars has pretty good food, too.
Dolan's has really good food.
Yeah. Lots going on in Fredericton,
Brunswick,
Canada. But yeah, getting ready for Zabit and Jeremy Stevens. I'm assuming this is going to be our last commercial break. We're coming back into it. This program may contain coarse language and scenes of violence that could be disturbing to some viewer. Discretion is advised. A reminder that Matt has a tendency to fly off the handle. Both fighters already into the cage. So now we're getting ready. So again, thanks so much for joining us. Whether you're on Sports Booth or you're on YouTube.
What are your guys' predictions for this fight real late?
Toss us up a like and a sub if you can.
We would like it.
This is the last fight that we're going to be live for before we take a little bit of a break. Only place in Canada I've ever been is Windsor, so you took the bridge across from Detroit. That's cool.
We've been to...
I've never been to Windsor.
We've been... Banff's cool. A lot of big mountains there. That's all I got for you.
Yeah.
Montreal's nice. Toronto's one of the nice cities in the world. People are very nice there, too.
Magomedsharipov getting the intro. 6'1.5", weighing in at 145. The kid's skin and bones. And, really looking forward to this one. I'd like to see...
Can I make a John Wilkes Booth reference with Jeremy Stevens, or is that out of place?
I think that's out of turn.
Just...
Stevens in the red corner. You got Magomedsharipov in the blue. I'm not going to make a comment on that comment. We're just going to leave her the way she goes.
I don't like either.
In terms of MMA, I'll leave it.
In terms of ethics, neither.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not real solid in that department.
Again, like if the rumors about a country are that strong, they're usually true. Like for the most part, Canadians, yeah, we're pretty nice to people. If you're known for the things that Dagestan and Chechnya are known for, chances are, if there's smoke, there's fire. But I mean, what, Kadirov's is it co-president or president of...
ACA.
Yeah.
All right, getting ready for round number 1.
I'm very excited for this fight.
Magomedsharipov. All right, here we go. Start of round number 1.
I'm either proven very wrong or I'm going to be real happy. And I'm going to have a burrito pretty soon. So those are all positives.
Magomedsharipov again in the blue. Stevens in the red. Both guys from orthodox stances. Stevens kind of bobbing and weaving and faking his way in to get close. And I mean, that's what he's going to need to do in this one, too. Stevens again continuing the pressure.
The only thing with Stevens is you got to worry for that like side trip thing that Zabit's kind of known for at this point. It's really sneaky the way he does it too because he hides it behind kicks. It's really cool. See, I don't hate Zabit. I'm just not completely sold yet. Yeah, I can't cheer for Khabib much longer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean this is an interesting one. Both guys, you really got to gauge it accordingly because they could both end the fight pretty darn quickly.
Zabit is doing one thing though that Duho Choi did against Stevens and didn't turn out well for him. You can't back up against Jeremy Stevens. Like if you let him come forward and figure out which way you kind of run to, because Jeremy Stevens does kind of what Robert Whittaker does. He backs up against the cage, you pick a side, and then he throws power to whatever side you have to move from. So if you go to your right, he either throws spinning back fist or a big left hook, and if you go to your right, he throws that overhand. Or if you go to your left, he's gonna throw a big overhand right. And I don't care. Like you could be anybody if Jeremy Stevens lands flush, like you're going to sleep. There's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, too, we haven't seen a whole lot. We're about a minute and a half into round number 1. It's been a lot of Jeremy Stevens just backing up Magomedsharipov.
He's thrown some good leg kicks, though, but nothing, too much substance. I think he's Dagestanian.
Yeah.
Big wolf problem in Dagestan.
Is there?
Big wolf problem.
There was a wolf call in New Brunswick at the end of the 1800s, and there's supposedly no wolves.
There's rumors about them, though. They're like Bigfoot, where we're from.
Now we have wolf-coyote hybrids. That's the big thing.
Coyotes are bad. Coyotes get in packs, and they take down, like, deer. Although you wouldn't think they do, because they just look like medium-sized dogs.
That's the way she goes. Jeremy Stevens, again, really pressuring.
Good by Zabit, though.
Exactly. Surprised he hasn't thrown any spinning kicks.
Jeremy Stevens just ate that head kick.
Yeah, it was interesting, too, because he had his hand there, but it looked like it pressured through.
I mean, he's as tough as an old leather boot.
Now he's starting to throw hard, though.
Yeah, they both are. Oh, no, you can't be eating those in leg kicks, Jeremy.
Yeah, good leg kick. Another good leg kick by Magomedsharipov.
Stevens is kind of known for leg kicks, too, so it's kind of surprising to see him on the receiving end.
Ariel was pushing the Zabe Lincoln meme a little too much this week. Yeah, he's going pretty hard. I mean, he's a marketable guy.
He is, but
there are a lot of bigger things this week than that. It's a nice spinning attack there from Magomedsharipov, closing in on 2 minutes remaining, round number 1.
The leg kick's been really good for Zabit so far, though. Like, he needs more of that. Good right hand to the body.
Yeah, nice.
Stevens.
Matt taking the words out of my mouth, but yeah, exactly. Stevens, if he continues to stalk like this, but if he can avoid some of the spinning attacks, I think he'll do quite well.
But even if, I would almost rather, if you're Stevens, make Zabit throw those spinning stuff. Nothing's hit you that hard so far, and it's just going to tire him out more than anything.
It's good to see he's been switching stances,
good
too.
Right hand by Jeremy,
Stevens.
Though. He's starting to stalk him a little bit.
Yeah, Zabit doing a half-decent job of distance management. We have seen these straights, these leg kicks, they all tend to land.
Zabit must have ridiculous vision, though. Just the way that he looks, it's like he's looking way off into the distance.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I guess it's unique to him almost.
Grabs a cage and throws a kick. That was nice. Referee Mark Smith all over it, though.
Finally a good leg kick by Stevens, though.
Yeah, and it was a right counter by a left from Magomedsharipov.
The only thing you got to worry about if you're Stevens is he does have a tendency that he almost ducks down and then throws power. If Zabit does go for a knee up the middle, he might be able to catch it. Both guys done a lot of positives, though.
Yeah, Stevens continues to pressure forward. I mean, these are two of the highest level guys you're going to see at 145.
Yeah, they really are.
A little bit of a cup check, and that's where a countdown timer will stop for now.
About 45 seconds left, though, in this round.
So when we get back into the round, we'll let you know where we're at so you can sync up with us again, real time over on sportsbooth.tv as we see a bit of a cup check.
Ooh! Caught him square the groin.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Sergei Haratonov end up with a hemorrhoid.
Oh my god, think how bad. Like, you got kicked at the groin so bad.
Ooh, and he rakes the eye, too.
Yeah.
Cup check and eye rake from Magomedsharipov.
Remember that time Johnny Walker flying kneed Misha Cirkunov?
I remember it like it was recently.
I don't want to be biased or nothing, but I think you just take a point right now.
Well, I mean, even on the replay, and you don't really have the ability to look at it, but yeah, there was a bit of a finger in the eye. Plus, that was a tough cup shot.
The worrisome thing
that can take you right out of a fight too and throw your timing off.
It can. It just, if you're Stevens, Zabit's not really known for his power. He's a really good striker, but those leg kicks, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it was nice. But
whoa!
Again, he's not hitting with these.
I don't care. You're throwing Showtime kicks and stuff.
But if you don't land them, they're not beneficial. That's the problem. If Zabit wants to be world champion, you can't throw that.
Hey, I like a little bit of entertainment value in my sports, Matt.
You can't. Is Jeremy Stevens not entertaining?
Oh, simmer down.
It just.
Negative Nancy doesn't.
I'm not negative. I think Zabit has all the tools to be world champion one day. He just has to. You can't throw that many spinning things and miss them. If he's landing these, do it all day long.
Yeah, I mean, we're closing into the dying seconds of round number 1.
Stevens tried to take his head off with one
shot. I got a 10-9 Magomedsharipov there, yep.
Yeah, that's the leg kicks early kind of did the opposite to what I thought was going to happen, but...
Yeah, we'll check and see what the reaction is here on Twitter just to try and get an idea.
I didn't like the fence grab either when he went for the kicks.
Looks like Zabit just turned into his next gear to close the round, says Anthony Walker. Even Zabit's fence grabs are unorthodox, says Ben Kiley. Zabit's kicks win him the first. From Lance Pugmire, I don't know about that. But, yeah, I mean, interesting stuff there. Dennis Hallman?
That is.
Dennis Hallman, what an MMA career. Didn't he win, his opponent who won the fight won a fight of the night bonus just because he beat him in those shorts?
No, that was Ryan Jimmo in that last one. I'm 100% sure he's the one who did the splits after his fight.
Ryan Jimmo with the splits.
Yeah.
Dennis Hallman.
I know, but you would call Ryan Jimmo Dennis Hallman.
Anyway, so we get ready for round number 2. Featured prelims, Zabit Magomedsharipov and Jeremy Stevens.
Things heated up by the end of that. I mean, Stevens went for some big haymakers, and Zabit just, I don't know, defied gravity for a solid 15 seconds.
Him and Johnny Walker drink the same water.
It's like that Michael Jordan secret stuff that they have in Space Jam. That's what they're drinking.
All right, we get started. Jeremy Stevens looking to pressure some more. Definitely a game plan thing. Nice leg kick, too, by Stevens. And Zabit switches stances.
Hey, Jeremy, don't.
What he did that at the end of the first round,
I know he did. He's got a good spinning back fist. It's just, I'd rather he didn't go for stuff like that.
Another cup check. Referee Mark Smith right in there, but calling for the fight to continue. Now we have a timeout.
Take a point.
Mark Smith changes his mind as to what's going on, and now my time's way off. And now we continue.
We're 4:36, 4:35, 4:34. There you go.
The indecisiveness. Smith, referee. Stevens continuing to pressure
caught him
forward.
with a good right hand, though, finally.
That was a nice left from Magomedsharipov on that.
Whoa! Good hook kick.
Stevens continues to pressure, but Magomedsharipov is doing a great job here.
Oh, he checked a leg kick, finally. If Zabit wins this, I already think I have a good next matchup for him. I'd like to see if I can side back.
Nice right landed there for Stevens.
Zabit's breathing heavy.
Yeah, I mean, he's been on the back foot for the majority of the fight here. Looking to try and set up something of his own. Nice left there from Magomedsharipov.
Zabit's got to be careful they're going forward too heavy because you can see Stevens is like stepping down, going for big bomb.
And a lot of people in the reaction on social media to Zabit winning the first round, they show significant strike percentage. But a lot of people, the kicks won it. But really, a lot of the kicks didn't land in that.
But the leg kicks were good.
The leg kicks did, yeah.
Oh.
Nice right hand from
Stevens. Finally caught him.
If he can string together some hard combos like that.
Good spinning back fist, though, by Zabit.
Yeah, Zabit, when he goes on the offensive, that's when he's in a good spot in this fight.
Yeah, exactly. He's got to be going to go forward.
That's what we're starting to see a little bit more of from the Russian fighter. Magomedsharipov kind of in the middle here. Stevens looking to pressure, but again, Stevens hasn't really been pressuring as much as we saw in the first round.
He's having a tough time with the range, too. I mean, Zabit's just so tall and lanky for this division.
Yeah, the 2 stoppages definitely have to throw off your timing for sure. Oof.
We almost caught him with that. That was a night ender.
Oof. We've seen a nice left from Magomedsharipov in the first 2 rounds.
It's similar to the problems that he had with Max Holloway. Like, he would kind of load
Takedown
up.
attempt from Magomedsharipov.
No, but Zabit, or Stevens.
Going for a single. Now he turns it into a double. Now he gets it up against the cage.
If he gets your back, it might be over.
Yeah, this is going to be...
No, good for Stevens.
Stevens back up to his feet.
Can't get taken back down. Now, if you're Stevens, you got to do whatever you can to keep the fight standing.
Magomedsharipov all over him, trying to drag him down to the ground. Where's the timer? We had to turn the timer off because there was a stoppage there. The referee wasn't sure if it was a groin strike or not, so they kind of goofed around.
We're at 2 minutes, 10 seconds left of the first round. Or second, sorry.
2 minutes, 5, 4, 3, 2. So that's where we're at. Just about 2 minutes remaining. Round number 2. Magomedsharipov all over the back here.
If you're Stevens, you got to survive this. It's going to put him in good shape for the third round if he can survive this, but this is going to be a big storm to hold off.
Yeah, I mean, Magomedsharipov...
Oh, this is bad now.
Now he's getting the back. Now he's getting the hooks in.
Stevens, you got to roll.
Yeah, now he's trying to lay him flat.
Yeah, this is about the worst place you could be. For
Referee Mark Smith calling him for possibly back of the head. Strike there.
Hey, if you want to make me a fan, don't do dirty stuff.
Yeah, I mean... It's been a bit of a back and forth fight. Zabit looks to be in a good position here if he's trying to get the back. Stevens trying to get closer to the cage.
Yeah.
Laying himself out kind of flat, eating some shots here, but they're not really landing under the chin.
I mean, but still, though, he is landing good shots.
But a minute 10 remaining, minute 9, 8. Magomedsharipov all over him here right now, but not doing a whole lot.
I've got a feeling like the commentary on this is almost unlistenable.
About a minute remaining.
Who's ever done this to Jeremy? No one. That's definitely something Joe Rogan would say.
Yeah, not really sure what Rogan and crew are saying right now. Zabit really trying to go for some type of finish. I mean, this is the best position he's been in so far in this fight.
Jeremy's going to need a stoppage in that last round if he wants to win.
Yeah, about 38 seconds remaining here. Getting the back. Stevens trying to stand up. Stevens has done a good job from below.
He has,
moving,
but again,
scrambling.
Would you rather be on someone's back or have your back?
Well, I mean, best of what you can do.
No, I agree. He's only going to survive 20 more seconds, but
yeah, Magomedsharipov's got the back, but not really able to do a whole lot with it.
No, a lot of control time though.
A lot of control time, a lot of strikes too. Magomedsharipov definitely taking round number 2
Yeah.
if we
if
get
you're
to see
Stevens,
it.
you've almost got to go for broke in that last round.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how the judges scored the first round too, because it could have gone either way. Now both guys push after. Oh, they put us into a commercial.
Little Caesars not eating there anymore. It was on the chopping block.
Oh man.
Oh, that's upsetting. Gonna go to Twitter real quick.
Yeah, I mean, interesting to see what happens here as we had a crazy end of the round and no idea what's going on. Oh man, Little Caesars taking the wind out of the sails. If you're following along on ESPN or maybe another medium, let us know what's going on because that was a crazy end and now we have a commercial for Ralph Lauren. So maybe it's not the Luke...
What?
Yeah.
The Luke Rockhold commercial?
Not a Luke Rockhold commercial. But yeah, just a shame that we had to go to commercial when we had crazy stuff going on in the cage.
Chuck Mendenhall, I want to see Johnny Walker fight. In order, John Jones, Daniel Cormier, Francis Ngannou.
Yep, kind of wish we got to see what was going on there. But yeah, some bad blood. That's always cool. Oh, now we got the start of it. Jeremy Stevens, right in the middle of the cage.
Ben Cayley, classic tweet. Shayla's talking like you grew up inside a helicopter.
All right, now we got two guys that are really upset at each other.
Yeah, no.
And I feel like Jeremy Stevens will make mistakes in this case.
They're not going out for drinks after this.
I think the language barrier would kind of hurt that.
That would be
prospect.
difficult anyways, and I doubt Zabit drinks anyways.
Yeah, really wanted to see what was going to happen in that. Classic Stevens after the bell.
I mean, Zabit was in his face.
Yeah, it doesn't really help the whole Stevens rapport.
Stevens, you got to go for the knockout.
Yes,
Can't load up, though. That's the problem. He has natural power. He doesn't need to load up on every shot.
Yeah, I mean, Magomedsharipov definitely expended a lot of energy in that round, but he looks pretty fresh to start this one, too. And Stevens
got to do, though. Get him up against the cage. Don't go for that stupid shit.
Yeah, good movement on the feet by Magomedsharipov.
It really is. He's doing a good job of exiting off the cage, too, like kind of faking one way, going the other.
Yeah, Stevens trying to head him off, but Magomedsharipov, it's just been about every single time in this fight he's been able to kind of get out of it.
Exactly. But again, like we said, I mean, Stevens needs one.
Yeah, especially in these positions where Russian fighter kind of curls up.
He's checking the kicks, though. That's the
Yeah.
one positive. Like, those leg kicks were definitely bothering him early on, but he's doing a good job of kind of dealing with them now.
Under a minute, or just past a minute into the third round here, assuming that Stevens is going to need a finish. Comment under my tweet, I said, basically can't believe it's going to a commercial break. And comment is, you better believe advertising are paying for those valuable 60 seconds. I've seen television before. That's how it works with live sporting events.
Easy.
I'm upset now. I wish I get to see what happened there.
Craig got fired up in about half a second.
2 minutes into round number 2, 3. Stevens again pressuring, but he's not really able to land a whole lot with the movement of Magomedsharipov.
Yeah,
he's
the
doing a
length
great
and the
job.
movement are really giving him some problems. Oh, there
Now
we go.
Stevens
He finally
getting
landed
in.
something good.
Really starting to head him off, but
Head kick's wide open,
Magomedsharipov
too.
going for a takedown. Looked like he was going to try and set up a strike, but he wasn't able
Stevens
to land
coming with a
anything.
good left hook, though, on the exit.
Now it's Magomedsharipov kind of standing in the middle. Stevens looking to push again. Magomedsharipov switches stances. Spinning back fist, it doesn't land.
Telegraphed it, though.
Halfway through round number 3, this is going to be... Could be a really decisive round.
I mean, I think Zabit's up 2-0. But...
Yeah, it's going to be tough to tell, especially with those striking metrics they gave from the
good
first
shots
round.
to the body from both guys, though. Good knee by Zabit and 2 good hooks by Stevens. Zabit keeps on going for that trip. I don't... And again, Matt, you're a Zabit hater. This isn't the type of performance that gets me on the hype train.
No, I mean, just about 2 minutes remaining in round number 3. You got to see something here.
Like, Moicano beat him by decision. Like, good guys have beat Jeremy Stevens. He's very much a gatekeeper, and if you beat him, that's a really big feather in your cap. But you beating Jeremy Stevens by decision
Yeah, we're
in
seeing
a fairly close fight, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a huge step up from a Brandon Davis or
Oh, it
Kyle
definitely
Wozniak.
is. It just
yeah, like he's looking up at the clock.
if
with
you're
a minute
Jeremy, you
45
gotta go
remaining.
at him. Jeremy, you're not tired. He is. Come on.
Yeah,
Nice.
I mean, you can't do that. So keep us going.
Got hit with an uppercut too. I think Stevens starting to tell Zabit slowing down. And again, that's what I said. Those kicks are really impressive, but if you don't land them, you can't jump off the cage and not get tired.
Yeah, I mean, Stevens continuing with the forward pressure. Magomedsharipov, I mean, he does look a lot fresher than he has in some third rounds before, but
But
looking
he
up
hasn't
at the
thrown
clock.
anything.
Yeah.
Stevens another good left hand, kind of to the body though, didn't land clean.
No, Stevens
That one did,
continuing
though.
to
Good
pressure
right
forward.
hand. Oh, Zabit landed good right though, good right straight. Again though, Stevens coming around over the top now, and he's starting to catch him a little bit more. He needed more of this early on, but still, he's starting to come on strong here near the end.
Under a minute remaining, I mean, he definitely has to push the pressure.
He does.
If he's going to get the win. Nice
That was good jumping knee.
jump knee there by Magomedsharipov.
Kind of Verdum did it to Mark Hunt, where he just kept on faking the takedowns, then he faked one and then went for the flying knee.
I mean, Magomedsharipov is still showing a lot here in the
Oh,
final
he is.
minute. Yep.
Don't get me wrong. It's just these are the things that, like, okay, now we know what we need to work on.
Now Stevens is getting the chance to start to land some here.
He is, but he needs, like, a Derek Lewis in 20 seconds.
Yeah, this is where he really needs to push forward, and he actually looks kind of labored at this point.
Yeah, they both do.
Yeah, Magomedsharipov now starting to land. Oof.
I wouldn't do that.
I'm not liking how he's looking up at the clock.
Sabit, you've got a champion in that weight class who can do everything you can.
Yeah, definitely not the best performance that we've seen so far from Magomedsharipov. Jeremy Stevens still kind of going after him because he's a nut.
He's real crazy.
And it'll be interesting to see...
I see 29-28 Zabit. I feel like Stevens won that last round. And there's my thoughts.
Yeah, so you've got it, what? 29-28?
29-28 or 30-27. I do think Zabit won that fight, but, I mean, if you guys want to convert me, to Zabitisms. You can try.
Yeah, that wasn't an impressive performance. I'll say that.
I don't think it's not that it wasn't overly impressive. It's just people are acting like he's going to be champ by the end of the year. We need to calm that down exponentially.
Yeah, that's...
Like, Volkanovski knocked out Chad Mendes and no one cared. Zabit's beaten lesser opponents, and he probably just beat Jeremy Stephens by decision, and people are going to lose their minds about it. And listen, maybe Zabit has a higher ceiling than a guy like Volkanovski, but I just don't think he's the brightest prospect even in that division.
Yeah, so, I mean, it remains to be seen.
Good fight, though.
Yeah, good fight, as apparently the logo's too big here. There we go. Got him. But yeah, we're gonna wait a decision. I'd say the winner, you know, you're gonna move up at 145, and there is room to move because Josh Emmett's got a fight coming up. Mirsad Bektik's probably a good spot, but again, you get a win over Stevens who's at 6.
But still, it's Moicano's already beat Stevens, Frankie's beat Stevens, Aldo's beat him, and Max
exactly. That's why Zabit maybe makes a good shot for Moicano. I think that'd be a fun fight.
And that could be a really good fight too. I wouldn't be against that at all.
All right, so let's see what we get for a decision.
I try to find out slightly quicker.
Mark Smith pulls up Zabit Magomedsharipov. He doesn't care about this. Mark Henry putting the t-shirt on Magomedsharipov. So we wait our decision here. Zabit, your winner by unanimous decision. So I mean that's the way the cookie crumbles. Wasn't a great fight for him, and well, I'll see myself out. I mean, we had a lot of fun with the prelims. Be sure
crowd doesn't like the call.
Yeah, crowd doesn't like the call. Be sure to follow along. Whether it's on sportsbooth.tv, you can find a link down below. Follow along with us. But follow along with everyone that's on the platform. There's a lot of great names that are joining every single day. So you can find great stuff on sportsbooth.tv. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CraigAllenFNP.
You can find me on Twitter at MattAllenFNP.
Yeah, so we're going to be back again next week. You get
card.
The next UFC on ESPN Plus. Number 4 coming at you from Kansas. So a big one there. And yeah, I mean, Zabit ripping his gloves off as we head into the pay-per-view portion of the card. Hopefully you enjoy your Saturday night. And we will see you again next week.